Chapter 779. The rich and clear azure sky hung high above everyone's head. White clouds and thin layers of clouds overlapped and dotted the sky. They were like lambs running in the blue wilderness. It was overwhelming, but it also gave people an indescribable feeling that was different from reality. Around him, on the thin wires, a few sparrows suddenly flew up and landed there. They leaned against each other and chattered as if they were talking about something interesting. From time to time, they would dance in a circle under the sunlight as if they were enjoying something. If they had expressions, their faces would definitely be filled with a satisfied and big smile, right? Asuna walked out of the school with a bouncing posture. Her uniform and her movements made her look like a young and beautiful girl. She didn't have the gentle temperament of a young woman in Ezo. No, it's not that it's gone, it's just that it's buried deep in her bones. Only a lucky guy and a cute little girl can have the chance to enjoy Asuna's temperament. Asuna's temperament. Asuna's temperament. Asuna's temperament is hidden deep in her bones. Only a lucky guy and a cute little girl can have the chance to enjoy Asuna's temperament. Asuna had a bright smile on her face as she walked along the street. Her beautiful face was radiating a dazzling radiance that attracted the attention of all the men around her. Asuna, on the other hand, was enjoying the scenery around her as she walked along the street. The wind was still as gentle as ever, and the noise of the students after school spread to the scene bit by bit. Asuna's body and mind were immersed in this ordinary scene. She even started humming a song. This kind of noisy and ordinary scene can't be replicated in Ezo no matter how skilled Kayaba Akihiko is. Just like in Sao, Asuna, Wu Yan and Yui lived next to their home for a year. It's also impossible to replicate the beautiful scenery in the real world. Both worlds are worth Asuna's attention. Asuna still feels like she's in a dream. She can't believe she's back in the real world. That's why she cherishes her time here. But sometimes, Asuna couldn't help but recall her memories in Ezo. Usually at this time, Asuna would have a smile on her face that would make the men around her unable to react for a long time. Asuna is glad that she met Wu Yan in that world. Wu Yan gave her so many wonderful memories and made her life in this world more colorful than it already was. Without Wu Yan, Asuna couldn't imagine what would happen to her life in Sao. She couldn't even imagine what would happen to her if she didn't have Wu Yan by her side. Asuna's heart couldn't help but melt at the thought of having a house in this world that was exactly the same as the one in the forest on the 22nd floor of Aincrad. She also had a loving husband and an adorable daughter. She was so happy that she couldn't help but feel her heart melt. Of course, other than bliss, Asuna also felt bashful and confused. Bashful because in the real world Wu Yan is only her boyfriend. But just like what Liz said, she couldn't leave Wu Yan's embrace. She couldn't stop thinking about how she could return to her old life and be Wu Yan's wife. This urge to marry Wu Yan made Asuna hide under her blanket in the middle of the night. She would toss and turn while rubbing her pillow. As for their doubts, they are doubtful of Wu Yan's inhuman methods. Why would Yui, an AI, appear in the real world? She's weak, but why did she become so energetic after drinking Wu Yan's potion? It's like she hasn't been in bed for 3 years. These are the questions in Asuna's mind. However, like Yui, Asuna didn't ask Wu Yan anything. After all, she and Wu Yan have only known each other for a few months in the real world. They don't know each other as much as they did in Sao. It's better to avoid certain things for the time being. Besides, Asuna trusts Wu Yan a lot. She believes that no matter how mysterious he is, he still loves her. Asuna's thoughts started to wander as she stood at the school gate. Unconsciously, a charming smile appeared on her face. It's obvious that she's reminiscing about the happy days in Sao. Ayaya Yui, I'm guessing that Mom must be thinking about us again. Oh, Mom is the best. A familiar voice echoed in Asuna's ears and woke her up. She couldn't help but turn around. She saw Wu Yan holding Yui's hand and standing in front of her with a smile on his face. She smiled back at him, but her face quickly tensed up. You two are going to bully me again, right? Asuna's face was filled with fear as she puffed out her chest. This isn't home. I can scream at any time and the school's guards will come out and chase you away. Wu Yan and Yui glanced at each other and they both lowered their shoulders. What should we do? Wu Yan looked like he was abandoned by the world. He held Yui's hand. Mom is going to chase us away, she doesn't want us anymore. Mom is a bad person. Yui cried pitifully and hugged Wu Yan's arm. Dad, don't be sad. Mom doesn't want Dad, Yui wants Dad. Wu Yan was touched. All right, from now on we'll rely on each other and despise our mother together. Let's look down on mom together. Yui, who was just saying mom is the best just now, said. You. Asuna's lips trembled, tears rushed to her eyes as she stomped her feet. I'm ignoring you. Mom's ignoring us. Yeah, why don't we stop looking down on our poor mom? Poor mom. Asuna closed her eyes in exasperation, causing Wu Yan and Yui to laugh. Asuna was angry and amused at the same time, but she couldn't hide the happiness in her eyes. As always, your relationship is so good that it makes me envious. Suddenly footsteps sounded. Kirito, Liz, Sachi, Xian and Silica walked over with smiles on their faces. As expected of a model couple. Kirito raised an eyebrow while carrying a backpack. When are we going to have an earth-shattering wedding in the real world? Asuna's face turned red. Wu Yan shrugged helplessly. I want to, but there's no garden of flowers here and I don't have as much money as I did in the game. Don't worry. Shireen patted her chest, raised her head and said, as long as you agree, I'll help you pay for both the venue and the funds. Hearing Xian's words, everyone laughed helplessly, but they didn't have the slightest doubt. This little girl in front of them was a real rich girl. Even Asuna's family background couldn't compare to her. She could be considered as a super rich girl among the rich. It's worth mentioning that Xian's real name is Yuki Xian. She's also a distant relative of Asuna's family. Yuki Xian's father has helped her a lot. Of course, the daughter of a rich family also had her own troubles. This could be seen from the two fierce-looking bodyguards who got out of a super luxurious car not far from her. Hey, don't tell me you're going to bring them with you? Everyone looked at Xian speechlessly. Sachi and Silica hid behind Wu Yan. Xian hurriedly explained. Of course not. Xian immediately said to the two bodyguards. You guys can go back first. Yes, miss. The two bodyguards respectfully saluted, then hid in the car and drove away in a whirring sound, stirring up a cloud of dust. Everyone coughed until they choked. When the dust dispersed, they looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 780. Oh, we're here. Arriving at the entrance of a bar, he looked at the signboard and turned around to smile at the crowd. This should be the place. Seriously, why did you open a bar in a place like this, Agile? Xian held Sachi's hand and complained. It's like an alley filled with criminals. I'm a little scared. You're scared of criminals? Liz couldn't help but laugh. Then why didn't you think twice before leaving with Wu Yan? Hearing this, Shireen lowered her head awkwardly and muttered something under her breath. It doesn't matter, the result is good anyway. That girl, she thought I was a beta tester, that's why she followed me like a fool. Wu Yan grumbled. If she met Kirito, she would have followed you too. Hey, why do you make it sound like I'm cheap? Xian jumped up. It's not like I'm paying for it. Silica smiled embarrassedly. In a way, you're paying for it. It's okay. Sachi comforted her when she saw that Xian was about to go crazy. Isn't that great? If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have known each other. Xian's expression softened a little when she heard Sachi's words. She snorted and turned her head away. Everyone chuckled. You guys. Is it fun to chat at the door? The door in front of them was pushed open. A man with some stubble on his chin and a headband on his forehead, who looked a little old, held the door handle and teased. Could it be that because you're a minor, you don't even dare to enter the door of the bar? Klein, you bastard. Wu Yan and Kirito bumped fists with Klein, who they haven't seen in a while. I'm an adult. Wu Yan smiled and said. Don't put me in the same boat as Kirito. Hey. Kirito's mouth twitched. I got married in the game, don't make it sound so bad. Huh. Klein laughed loudly. He patted Kirito's shoulder. Reality and the game have nothing to do with each other. Look at Sita, he didn't even marry his girlfriend in the game, but now in the real world the two of them are fighting like crazy. Sachi was surprised. So the president's girlfriend is here too? Shili lowered her head and mumbled, no wonder he ran so fast after school. Aya, everyone is in pairs. Shireen sighed. His expression became serious. Should I also find a boyfriend? Klein's perverted eyes lit up. He coughed and adjusted his tie. He was about to say something when Wu Yan gave him a harsh blow. Uncle, you're still trying to make a move on an underage girl. Klein's face fell and he jumped as if he was about to explode. Yen. Don't forget that you're about the same age as me. You're the one who made a move on an underage girl. That's where you're wrong. Liz giggled. Asuna's face was flushed red as she hugged Asuna. Our Asuna is already 18 years old. She's thinking about getting married every day. Oh, Liz. Asuna's face turned red. She glanced at Wu Yen and quickly turned her head away. She grabbed Yui's hand and walked into the shop angrily. I'm going to ignore you guys. That's a big reaction. Sachi was surprised again. It looks like. Shili scratched her cheek. It's true. Shireen shook her head. She wants to get married. Liz giggled. You guys. Wu Yen bitterly smiled. You're going to get married sooner or later. Don't worry, you guys will be laughed at. Sachi, Shili and Shireen looked at Wu Yen with a yearning expression. Looks like they're imagining themselves getting married. They have to admit that they're envious of Wu Yen and Asuna's love for each other. Even Liz couldn't help but glance at Kirito. Kirito shuddered. God has mercy on Kirito, he's still underage. As the group of people walked into the shop, the whole picture of the shop appeared in front of everyone. Although it was called a shop, it really looked like a bar. The counter was long and circular. In front of the counter there were a few tables scattered together. One after another, people gathered around the tables to celebrate, shouting frequently. However, when Wu Yen and Co entered the arena, the crowd quieted down and they started cheering even more fervently. Our hero is here. Fey Swordsman, we've been waiting for you. Girls, welcome. Do you only look at girls? Huh. Cheers after cheers entered the group's ears, causing them to laugh. After that, an offline party for the survivors of SAO began. Yo, winners in life. Agile stood on the counter with one hand on his waist. He grinned at Wu Yen and Kirito. I thought you guys didn't want to show up because you're trying to please your lover. Agile, you're the least qualified person to say that. Kirito mocked him. You're the only one among us who's married. Well, I guess I'm the weakest. Agile pursed his lips and said. Some people who aren't even married already have a daughter. Kirito, Klein, and Agile glanced at Yui, who was happily chatting with the girls at the same table as Asuna. They couldn't help but be curious about the girl's background. It's not that they know Yui's true identity. Only Wu Yen and Asuna know Yui's true identity. That's why they're not surprised to see Yui in the real world. What they're curious about is why Yui's biological parents didn't come and take her back. Instead, they let her live with Wu Yen. They knew Yui became Wu Yan's adopted daughter and lived with him. They just don't understand how things developed to this point. Did Yui's parents abandon her? Or is Yui an orphan? But where would an orphan get a helmet to play games? Dense doubt settled in the hearts of the three men and immediately turned into curiosity. Looking at their appearance, if it wasn't for the fact that they were pure men, it was likely that others would have thought that they were gossipy young ladies from somewhere. Wu Yen pursed his lips when he saw the look on the three's face. He raised his glass and took a sip before looking at Kirito. Oh right, don't you guys have an event tonight? Wu Yen found out that after Sugo Nobuyuki was arrested, Kirito logged into Alo just like he did in the original work. They didn't know why Kirito logged into the game. They only know that after Kirito logged out, he gave a world seed called Daoist to Agile. In other words, just like in the original novel, Vermo is the main theme of this world and Alo is also the main theme. Tonight, Kirito and the others will challenge the new Aincrad. Once again, Kirito's expression turned serious as he looked at Wu Yen. Are you sure you don't want to come with us? Well, Wu Yen scratched his head. If there's a chance I'll make a cameo appearance, but I don't think I'll be joining tonight. I see. Kirito nodded and said regretfully. That's a shame, it's not as fun without you. He's a hero now, he's looking down on us. Klein said in a sour tone. Then he raised his wine glass and handed it to Wu Yen. Heartless bastard, I'll teach you a lesson today. Kirito and Agile nodded in agreement. Wu Yen didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this. Chapter 781. Sigh. Supporting Wu Yen, who looked like he just got fucked by someone, Asuna sighed for the umpteenth time as they made their way back to the city. Didn't you say you can drink a lot? Asuna complained. Why did you end up like this? Burp. Wu Yen burped. Asuna frowned when she smelled the alcohol on his body. Wu Yen smiled bitterly and apologized. I'm sorry, Hina. I didn't think I would end up like this, but you can't blame me for this. Wu Yen quickly pushed all the blame away from him. I don't know what drugs those bastards from the Knights of the Blood Oath have taken, but they're drinking so hard that they're taking turns to fight. How despicable. Asuna pouted. She knew Wu Yan's current predicament was partly because of her. Asuna didn't blame Wu Yan too much. After all, this kind of situation is similar to when the husband is drunk and the wife is busy taking care of him. It's a bad situation, but it's a heartwarming scene. Therefore, Asuna could only mumble to herself. Seriously, you should think about the consequences next time. Even if you don't care, you should think about Yui. How are you going to take care of Yui when you're like this? Yeah, that's true. Wu Yan helplessly tilted his head, trying to get it to think better. Luckily they're here. Otherwise, with my current state, Yui would be starving tonight. Asuna blinked and chuckled. Luckily they seemed pretty happy. They said they wanted to sleep with Yui in the real world for a long time and now it's happening. Wu Yan shrugged in disdain. I think she probably wants to use Yui as a pillow. Girls have no resistance to cute and pretty things. Asuna's expression turned dangerous. Her nasal voice was also dragged out by her for a long time. Don't make it sound like all girls are cliché. Is it cliché to like cute and beautiful things? Wu Yan said thoughtfully. Then I'm really a bit cliché. What did you say? Asuna's ears twitched like a rabbit's ears as she looked at Wu Yan with a half smile. You mean you also like cute and beautiful things? That's right. Like someone like Celica? Hurry up. Wu Yan's mouth twitched. By the way, why are you talking about girls? Asuna snorted and turned her head away, but her chestnut-colored eyes were still fixed on Wu Yan. You really don't have any self-awareness. The sour taste in Asuna's words hit Wu Yan's face, making Wu Yan's eyebrows twitch. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I know I'm a playboy, but I really don't have too many girls here. Even I can't believe I'm that shameless, so why is there a topic of jealousy? I say, Asuna. His drunkenness has mostly dissipated. Wu Yan straightened his back, but he leaned his head on Asuna's body, looking very intimate and flirtatious. Did Liz hit the nail on the head? Are you in a hurry to get married? Who said that? Asuna's eyebrows shot up like a cat whose tail was stepped on. What's the point of getting married? Why should I be in a hurry? Do you think I'm afraid no one wants me? Yes. I know Asuna-sama's charm is off the charts. Wu Yan teased, but before Asuna could get angry, he suddenly said something. There's a place I want to go. Asuna was stunned. She asked in surprise. Where is it? Well. Wu Yan smiled meaningfully. He pulled Asuna's hand and led her in a certain direction. Follow me and you'll know. Wait. Wait? Asuna's hand was held by Wu Yan. She had no choice but to run. After running for about half an hour, Wu Yan finally let go of her hand and stopped. Why you? Asuna huffed as she bent down. She placed her hands on her knees and she glared at Wu Yan with rage in her eyes. Didn't I tell you to wait? Sorry. Wu Yan laughed and he scratched his cheeks. If you don't hurry up, dusk will be over and you won't be able to see what I want you to see. Oh? Asuna huffed. She patted her chest and put her hands on her waist. If you can't satisfy me, I won't forgive you. Don't worry. Wu Yan said confidently. I'll definitely satisfy you. Asuna pursed her lips and asked, Then what is it? Wu Yan smirked and put his hand on Asuna's shoulder. Don't blink. Wu Yan slowly moved his body to the side, allowing Asuna to see the scene behind him. Asuna looked at him in confusion, then her body suddenly froze. She covered her mouth with one hand and an expression of disbelief appeared on her face. It was as if she had seen something unbelievable. Her pair of beautiful eyes gradually regained their lost spirit and couldn't sink any further. In Asuna's eyes, half of the sun had already set, and the remaining half was still emitting a dazzling light that shrouded every corner of the place. Not far away, a circular flower bed was casting a long shadow under the light of the setting sun. Flower petals that came out of nowhere were floating in the air like fairies dancing in the air. Beautiful. Beautiful to the extreme. Of course, beauty alone isn't enough to make Asuna show such an expression. What really made Asuna's expression change is that this scene is exactly the same as the scene of her wedding with Wu Yan on the 47th floor of Aincrad. No way. Asuna couldn't believe what she was seeing. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Wu Yan held Asuna's hand and slowly walked towards the flower bed. He stopped in front of the flower bed, facing Asuna. Although they aren't wearing formal attire, this scene is exactly the same as when they got married. How is it? Do you like it? Wu Yan looked around and he smiled at Asuna, who is still in a state of disbelief. It wasn't easy for me to find a place like this. There aren't any other flower beds or streets around here, but it's the same here, right? Asuna nodded. Asuna nodded in a daze. Her eyes never left their surroundings. Wu Yan bitterly smiled. He took a deep breath and he took out a box from his pocket. He opened the box in front of Asuna. Asuna looked at the box and in the next moment her eyes widened to their maximum. She was completely stunned on the spot. Inside the box there is a ring. A wedding ring. The wedding ring we agreed on. Wu Yan took the ring out of the box and held it in his hand. He tilted his head and smiled at Asuna. Asuna, can you please marry me? His words reverberated in Asuna's ears and her heart. She covered her mouth with her hands as tears flowed down her cheeks. She looked at Wu Yan with a smile on his face. She started sobbing and sobbing when she saw Wu Yan's smile. Finally, the sound of her sobbing could be heard all around her. Her heart melted. Asuna could only nod. She kept nodding her head. She didn't care about her tears and threw herself into Wu Yan's arms. Her suppressed sobs echoed in the air. Wu Yan chuckled when he heard it. Chapter 782. The dusk scene has completely dissipated. It's done its job. Lights began to flicker in various buildings, dispelling the faint darkness of the night. The streets gradually fell into darkness. The light of the day gradually dimmed, replaced by the light from the street lamps. Only tomorrow will they reappear and bring new warmth to the city. Yui went to Sachi's house to spend the night. Xian, Silica and Liz also followed her. Originally, Wu Yan was supposed to be the only one in the mansion, but when the door opened and Wu Yan walked into his house, there was a beautiful figure following behind him. Walking on the other side of Wu Yan, Asuna felt a little uncomfortable. She didn't even know where she should go. She looked up and glanced at Wu Yan, but she quickly lowered her head as if she was startled. Her cheeks turned red and her heart was filled with shyness. Asuna didn't know why she wanted to go home with Wu Yan. She only knew that after wearing Wu Yan's wedding ring, she didn't want to leave Wu Yan's side anymore. Asuna didn't even think about it. When Wu Yan offered to take her home, she blurted out, "I'll go home with you." She even secretly sent a message to her family, telling them that she won't be going home tonight. "Don't tell me." Asuna suddenly thought of something and blushed all the way to her ears. She quickly covered her face with her hands and shook her head shyly. What Asuna didn't know was that her actions were being watched by someone next to her. Not a single detail was left unnoticed by the person next to her. Wu Yan didn't know how many times he chuckled in his heart. He coughed and sighed as if he wanted to dispel Asuna's shyness. If only it was the same as the time in Aincrad, the proposal would have been great. Whenever I want to get married. Wu Yan wasn't pretending to have such thoughts. After all, Asuna still has her parents in this world. Even though she accepted his proposal, her parents still haven't talked to her yet. Asuna's father, Yuki Shozo, knew a thing or two about Wu Yan. He saw how Wu Yan used some unknown method to wake Asuna up. He also saw how Wu Yan healed her in one night. Yuki Shozo viewed Wu Yan as a hidden VIP. If Asuna asked to marry Wu Yan, Yuki Shozo might not agree immediately, but he would definitely consider it. I believe that the next time they meet with Wu Yan's heaven-defying skills, it wouldn't be hard to get Yuki Akeso to agree to his request. The problem is Asuna's mother. Asuna's mother isn't as gullible as Yuki Chozo. As a university professor, she has a better eye than Yuki Chozo. Otherwise, she wouldn't have rejected Sugo Nobuyuki, who didn't show any flaws. However, she's a bit snobbish. If you want to marry Asuna, you don't have a good personality or a good family background. Asuna's mother won't easily agree if you don't have a good background. Of course, with Wu Yan's capabilities, he can easily create a background that is on par with the ruler of a country. His family background isn't a problem either. Asuna's mother won't object to this, but she won't agree to it right away either. Even though she's a snob, Asuna's mother still values Asuna in certain aspects. At the very least, they have to spend some time with each other. So, if he really wants to marry Asuna, he won't be able to do it without a certain amount of time. Wu Yan's words successfully diverted Asuna's attention. She looked up and saw Wu Yan's regretful expression. She held his hand and comforted him. "I just turned 18. My family will be a bit worried. I will slowly leak some information to them so they can be mentally prepared. For now, let's just treat it as an engagement. Wu Yan bitterly smiled when he heard Asuna's words. He really wants to marry Asuna right away. It's not that he's too eager, he just wants to leave without any regrets before he leaves. Wu Yan suppressed his thoughts and maintained a regretful expression on his face. Originally, I was so excited to hold another wedding ceremony. Asuna couldn't help but look forward to it. Even though she's experienced a wedding ceremony before, that was in the game world. She's looking forward to a wedding ceremony in the real world. After all, she's a girl. Well, I guess we can only delay it for now. Wu Yan turned around with a teasing look on his face. Anyway, it looks like you're more anxious than I am. Oh, don't joke about this. Asuna's cheeks puffed up as she rubbed her hands in dissatisfaction. She looked at the owner of those hands and smiled again. She leaned her head into Wu Yan's chest. Actually, as long as I can live with you and Yui in this house, I'm already very happy. Is that so? Wu Yan hugged Asuna's waist and rubbed her cheeks. I'm the same. The year I spent with you and Yui in Aincrad's 22-story wooden mansion was the happiest time I've had since I came to this world. Wu Yan hugged Asuna with his other hand. However, I feel like if I don't give you a wedding ceremony, no matter how happy I am, there will be some flaws in my life. I don't want you to say something like, you didn't even give me a wedding ceremony, when we fight in the future. I won't do that. Asuna yelled in dissatisfaction. She seemed to have thought of something and giggled. Even though we've argued a lot in the past, we've never been serious, right? Yeah. Wu Yan chuckled as he recalled the 1 year of cohabitation in O. Every time either you let me win or I didn't want to, or Yui jumped in to stop us. We never got into a fight. Wu Yan giggled as he lowered his head to look at Asuna's face. It seems like our life from now on will be very harmonious. I don't think so. Asuna snorted and said, who knows if you'll go out and flirt with other women. Wu Yan raised an eyebrow and rubbed his chin. According to what you said, it seems like my wish back then was to open a huge crystal palace. Asuna raised her eyebrows and a meaningful smile appeared on her face. Then when the time comes, please let me help you. Wu Yan shivered as he looked at Asuna's beautiful smile. His heart was beating like a drum. He didn't think that Asuna meant what she said. No. Anyway. Wu Yan smiled and said, we'll definitely have a wedding ceremony in the future. When the time comes, let's call all the guests who came to our wedding ceremony. Asuna's eyes widened when she heard this proposal. Are you serious? Don't forget when we got married, there were countless people who came to our wedding ceremony. It doesn't matter, Xian said she's going to help us fund it, we'll help her. Well, how dare you bring this up? Even if Shireen agrees, back then even Commander Heathcliff came to participate. Do you want him to be there as well? Don't make it sound so ominous. It's a wedding ceremony, not a summoning ceremony. Just like that, the two of them hugged each other and exchanged glances. As they talked, the two of them laughed together. They didn't say anything, there's no need for words. Wu Yan hugged Asuna tightly and felt her soft body. Asuna also snuggled into Wu Yan's body and closed her eyes. They both felt each other's presence. The other's presence. Chapter 783. Under the light, the two of them hugged each other in silence. Neither of them said a word. At this moment they could feel each other's presence and their hearts were at ease. Perhaps Asuna subconsciously wanted to seek this feeling, that's why she came back with Wu Yan. Wu Yan could feel her soft and slender body all over his body. Smelling the fragrance on her hair, Wu Yan couldn't help but feel intoxicated. Asuna. Wu Yan called her name in a low voice. He buried his head in Asuna's silky hair that exuded a faint fragrance. His hands became stronger and stronger as if he wanted to squeeze her into his body. This isn't the first time Wu Yan hugged this seductive body. He hugged her almost every day, they even slept together until dawn. He fully enjoyed her body, but that's only in SAO. At the end of the day, no matter how realistic that world is, it's still an imaginary world. Everything in the game world is programmed. Even the players' bodies are virtual. That's why the feeling of hugging Asuna in the imaginary world is completely different from the feeling of hugging Asuna in the real world. Asuna in the imaginary world is also very seductive, but it doesn't feel real. Her skin isn't as hot as it is in the real world. Her scent isn't as intoxicating, even her breath isn't as hot. It doesn't have the fragrance of the real world. Back in the real world, Wu Yan hugged Asuna before. Usually it's just a light hug or a snuggle. But now he's hugging her so tightly that it feels like he's occupying her entire body. This is the first time. Under this stimulation, Wu Yan naturally started to have a reaction. Asuna's arms were wrapped around Wu Yan's back. Her body was tightly pressed against his. She didn't move an inch. Asuna has lived with Wu Yan in the game world for a year. She fully experienced his reaction. Therefore, when she felt the strange reaction from Wu Yan's body, her slender body trembled slightly and froze. Her beautiful face slowly turned red. She slowly opened her eyes and looked at Wu Yan shyly. Under Asuna's gaze, no matter how thick-skinned Wu Yan is, he couldn't help but evade her gaze. The atmosphere instantly became a little awkward. Asuna's cherry-red face was on his chest. She could clearly hear Wu Yan's strong and fast heartbeat. It's as if she could feel the evil fire in his heart. The heat was transmitted to Asuna's cheeks through his skin, causing her face to turn even redder. It's completely dark outside the window. The frosty moonlight shone in the living room. Since the two just came back, they didn't have time to turn on the lights. Now, as the two fell silent, the surrounding space began to fall into darkness, blurring their vision. However, Wu Yan and Asuna could feel each other's bodies. Their bodies are getting hotter and hotter. The atmosphere became even more awkward and ambiguous. Finally, Asuna couldn't hold it in anymore and she yelled out in a bashful tone. I'll go back first. Hearing Asuna's words, Wu Yan suddenly became anxious. Without any hesitation, he carried Asuna up. One of his hands went through her thighs and he lifted her up. Asuna screamed and wrapped her arms around Wu Yan's neck. You put me down. Asuna seemed to know what was about to happen. Her face turned red. She couldn't help but close her eyes and kick her legs. Wu Yan finally realized what he was doing, but since it's already come to this point, he had no choice but to do it. He leaned his head towards Asuna's face and sealed her mouth with his, blocking her words. Asuna's eyes widened before she could react. Her teeth were invaded by a force, and her tongue was instantly captured. Wu Yan kissed Asuna's lips while moving from the living room to the living room. The light is getting dimmer and dimmer. The only source of light is the moonlight that shines through the window. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes shone brightly in the dim room, allowing him to clearly see Asuna's face. Asuna's body trembled as she felt Wu Yan's body getting hotter and hotter. No. However, Asuna's voice had exactly the opposite effect. Deep inside Wu Yan's body, the evil fire was getting stronger and stronger, and Wu Yan didn't want to suppress it at all. Wu Yan's breathing became shallow and heavy, and his heartbeat accelerated. In his vision, only Asuna's chestnut-colored hair and bright red face became the color, and his mind gradually became blank. Asuna's clothes started fluttering in the air. Her clothes started disappearing at an even faster rate. In the end, Wu Yan could see her fair and soft body. Asuna accepted her fate and she closed her eyes. She followed Wu Yan's lead and laid down on the bed. The rather spacious, soft and bouncy bed had beautifully completed its task. Only the quilt was left wriggling on the bed. The sound of panting and moaning intertwined in the air, lingering for a long time without fading away. When the wind and rain stopped, Wu Yan leaned against the back of the bed and exhaled a long breath of hot air. He then looked down at Asuna in his arms. The girl has already lost all her strength because of her lover's constant pouncing. She couldn't bear the heavy burden and fell into a deep sleep. Her breathing was heavy and uneven. Her beautiful face is flushed red, and Wu Yan could see traces of pleasure and pain on her face. Her body was covered in sweat, and a burst of fragrance was emitted from her body. Wu Yan could smell it, and at the corner of her eye, a teardrop was hanging on her face and it didn't fall for a long time. Wu Yan's hand gently slid down her soft back. He looked at Asuna's face and he felt a strong sense of reluctance. If he could, he really didn't want to leave like this. He didn't want to be with Asuna forever. However, the strong longing for the other girls kept urging him to go back. After all, the girls left him in the Spalier world for more than 10 days. Wu Yan hasn't seen them for 3 whole years. He misses them very much. That's why he has to go back. Wu Yan bitterly smiled and shook his head. He gently broke free from Asuna's embrace, got off the bed and put on his clothes. The best way to get the best of both worlds is to summon Asuna and Yui when he goes back. That way they can still be together. It's just that Asuna has just been freed from Aseo's death raid, and now she's being summoned to another world that's filled with bloodshed. That's just too cruel. Once his life stabilizes, he will summon Asuna to his side. Fortunately, the next time they met, Asuna had only just opened her eyes. After putting on his clothes, Wu Yen reluctantly kissed Asuna's forehead. Wait for me. Chapter 784. Spalier World Academy. Hinajiku, Kotori and Kurumi sat on one side of the table. Ikaros, Astria and Toka looked at them with a confused expression. Only Flandrachan and Yoshino were having fun. They giggled from time to time. Hinajiku and the other two girls looked at each other before looking at the opposite side. Fei Fei was holding the night elf in her hand with a serious expression. She had been staring at the three girls for quite some time without saying a word. The atmosphere in the air seemed to be a bit heavy. The girls didn't stay in their villas. Instead, they came to the headquarters of Deadly Forest led by Fei Fei. They were called here by Fei Fei. They seemed to be discussing something important. After a long while, Kotori raised her head and looked at Fei Fei with her red eyes. Her brows furrowed as she asked in a serious tone, "Senpai, can you confirm the authenticity of this information?" "Yes." Only Kotori's voice could be heard in the large living room. The other girls didn't say anything because in the absence of Shokuhu Misaki, as the commander of Ratatosker, Kotori was definitely the best leader among the girls. "Yes." Fei Fei nodded. She looked at the red tea on the table but she didn't want to drink it. Kotori and Chuju frowned when they saw Fei Fei nodding. But it wasn't Kotori's voice. It was Kurumi. She had waist-length black hair, a pair of long bangs and a pair of wine-red eyes. She had a casual expression on her face and she looked like a high-class person. "As far as I know, be it in the past or present, no matter how outstanding our performance is, the council doesn't seem to have any intention of restricting us, right?" Kurumi glanced at Fei Fei with her long and narrow wine-red pupils. She tilted her head and chuckled softly. Her eyes curved into crescent moons. She was so beautiful that it was suffocating. But Kurumi is behaving like this. However, Fei Fei held her breath in her heart. She knows how this girl who appeared in the group out of nowhere tormented a male student who flirted with her to the point where he couldn't even bear to look at her. She's a girl who looks even more beautiful than Shokuhu Misaki, the queen of the academy, a few days ago. She only showed a little bit of her true strength. Fei Fei had always thought that Kwang-san was a very dangerous person. Fei Fei took a deep breath. Her expression turned serious. "In the past, the council's elders didn't know what to do with your group. Every elder has different opinions about you people of unknown origins, so it has been delayed like this for a long time. In addition, the old patriarch is on your side. So far, not many people have come looking for trouble with you. But it's different this time." Fei Fei's serious face showed a hint of helplessness. "This time, it's not the entire council that's secretly plotting against you, it's the imperial family. The Ailu royal family." Fei Fei looked at the girls. "The first place you appeared was within our Ailu Empire's borders. Because of that, outsiders have long treated you as citizens of Ailu Empire. Now the royal family wants to contact you. That's a very good reason. Such an outstanding and powerful group has appeared among their own citizens. As a member of the Ailu Empire's royal family, it's perfectly justifiable for them to get in touch with these outstanding citizens." Haha. Kurumi narrowed her eyes at Fei Fei's words. Her slender right hand covered her slightly translucent pink lips as she chuckled. "In other words, we have to accept their invitation?" Chuju frowned again. She looked at Fei Fei with a troubled expression. "Can't we reject them as usual?" Fei Fei bitterly smiled. "Of course you can reject them. You aren't part of the royal family and you have enough strength to warrant their attention. If you reject them, the royal family won't provoke you. But the problem is it's not just you. Even the Baruba Empire, Fea Empire's royal family and the other 3 great houses have been invited. The 3 great empires and the 9 great houses are all here. Think about it, how will they view you?" Kotori raised her head at Fei Fei's words. Her red eyes flashed with contemplation. She lazily leaned back in her chair and unwrapped a treasure. She put it in her mouth and replied, "Indeed, it would be too arrogant of us to reject them, but..." Chuju was a little worried. "Why would the Ailu Empire's royal family invite us to a ball like that?" We aren't nobles or heroes, we're just a bunch of students, right? That's what I don't understand. Fei pulled himself together and looked at the girls. The old patriarch only asked me to tell you that the imperial family seems to have attached great importance to you all during this period of time. They have been reporting on your movements in the academy. However, because they cannot brazenly monitor you all, they should only be able to get a rough idea of your whereabouts. Oh? Coterie suddenly turned to Fei. In other words, during this period of time, the news of my brother's absence was also known to them? When the word Oni-chan came out of Coterie's mouth, all the girls went silent. They looked at each other and no one spoke. Even Flandre-chan and Yono, who were playing nearby, jumped up from the ground. Ikaros stared at the girls who were chatting with each other, her indigo pupils filled with longing and curiosity. Seeing this scene, Fei couldn't help but sigh secretly. What kind of charm did Yen have to be able to make a group of girls who were impeccable in terms of appearance, strength, and character? Moreover, they were disdainful of men and turned a blind eye to him? Fei calmed herself down and nodded. I'm afraid they do. I see. Coterie pondered for a moment before standing up. Fei-senpai, thank you for your reminder. We'll be careful. If there's nothing else, we'll be taking our leave. You're welcome. Fei also stood up and smiled. No matter what, Yen, Chuju, and Mikoto are my good friends. I might not be able to get any useful information, but I can give you a heads up so you can be prepared. Also, the old patriarch told me to do this so you don't have to be so courteous. Thank you so much, Fei. Chuju tugged at Fei's hand. Fei shook her hand. Coterie and Kurumi, who didn't know much about Fei, lowered their guard. At the very least, they can confirm that this senpai named Fei is trustworthy. After that, Chuju, Coterie, and Kurumi left with Ikaros, Astria, Toka, Flandre-chan, and Yoshino. They said goodbye to Fei and left the room. Looking at Hinajuku and the rest walking away, Fei stood there silently until all the girls disappeared from her sight. Only then did she slowly sit back down. On the table, there were a few cups filled with red tea. The red color of the tea didn't decrease at all. The red color was still swirling in the cups. Fei stared straight at the red tea in the cups. She shook her head helplessly and laughed. At the mention of Wu Yan's name, the girls who usually don't care about anything lost their composure. Forget about the tea, they didn't even dare to probe further into the topic. Chapter 785. After bidding farewell to Fei, the group of girls walked out of the door under the admiring gazes of the surrounding deadly forest members. They walked towards the direction of the villa area. Along the way, the girls didn't say a word. Even Flandre-chan, who loves to play, was obediently holding Astria's hand. She seemed to know that her sisters were thinking about something. However, after entering the villa, Hinajuku broke the silence and looked at Coterie. Hey Coterie, do you think we should go or not? The young ladies shifted their attention to Coterie. It was apparent that they had decided to let Coterie, who was a leader, make the decision. Coterie didn't hesitate. She lowered her gaze and grabbed the pearl in her mouth. Of course we have to go. Otherwise we might get into trouble. The problem is... Coterie looked around at the girls. If we are going, it would be best if we can verify Fei-senpai's information. We need to know why the Ailu imperial family suddenly paid attention to us and why they invited us to the ball. Hinajuku and Kurumi both narrowed their eyes and nodded seriously. Hinajuku added, I have a feeling this ball won't be as simple as it seems. Coterie fell into silence. Along with her silence, the atmosphere between the young ladies fell into silence. Coterie pulled herself together and waved her hand when the entrance of her mansion appeared before her. Regardless, let's think of a way to gather information. After all, we know too little now. Yeah. This time. All the girls nodded. After making a preliminary decision, the expressions on their faces began to relax. Seeing this, Astria, Toka, Flandre-chan, and Yoshino, who tried their best to hold back, sighed in relief. They didn't understand the importance of this ball. They just didn't like the heavy atmosphere. With their brains, they naturally felt that as long as they were happy, everything would be fine. And so, after regaining their spirits, the girls came to the entrance of their villa and pushed the door open as if nothing had happened. However, the moment the door was pushed open, Ikaros, who was silent with her head lowered, abruptly raised her head. Her indigo pupils flashed with a ripple that was different from the calm before. Then, under the astonished gazes of the girls, Ikaros actually spread her wings and rushed into the villa's hall. Ikaros! The group of girls exclaimed, but before they could react, Ikaros had already rushed into the villa's living room. The girls looked at each other and quickly followed. But not long after, when everyone arrived at the living room, their footsteps came to a halt. They couldn't move an inch, they were all frozen in place, the expression on their faces also froze. In front of everyone's eyes, the entire hall was filled with Ikaros's feathers. They floated down like a feather, covering the entire hall. At the table in front of them, a figure was lying on his stomach, snoring loudly. Beside him, Ikaros's two small hands were resting on his body. Although her expression was as calm as an ancient well, her eyes were filled with joy. Flandra-chan, Astria, and Toka cheered loudly and jumped towards the figure. They didn't recover from their shock until Flandra-chan, Astria, and Toka screamed and jumped towards the figure. Oni-chan. Saito. Master. In his dream, Wu Yan faintly heard 3 sweet voices. Then his body was suddenly weighed down by 3 different sizes. Unable to bear the burden, he flipped over. A feeling of the sky and earth spinning entered his mind. Then a sharp pain came from his head. Bang! Yua! The pain at the back of his head made him groan in pain without hesitation. His drowsiness disappeared without a trace. When he opened his eyes, he wasn't lying on the table anymore. He was lying on the floor with 3 beautiful girls of different sizes on top of him. They were looking at him with a face full of surprise. Ouch! Wu Yan hugged Flandra-chan, Astria, and Toka. He rubbed his head and sat up. The other girls also came back to their senses. Their eyes were filled with surprise, but it quickly disappeared. You brat, you finally know to come back? Kotori frowned and placed her hands on her hips. Her tone was filled with dissatisfaction. King Kotori. Wu Yan rubbed his head and he blinked his eyes. He looked at the girls and he waved his hand in confusion. Yo, long time no see my ass. Hinajuku stepped forward and punched him in the head, waking him up from his dazed state. Only now did he realize the situation he's in. He didn't know what to say, so he just smiled sheepishly, making the other girls annoyed at him. Shido. Toka rubbed her head against Wu Yan's chest. She closed her eyes and enjoyed the feeling. When did you come back? It's been a while, I didn't see you girls when I came back, so I took a nap on the table. Wu Yan patted Toka's head and he pulled the 3 girls up from the ground. By the way, don't call me Shido. Just call me Wu Yan. Toka tilted her head and said reluctantly. Yes, Shido. Got it, Shido. Haha. Wu Yan laughed dryly. Forget it, do whatever you want, Oni-chan. Flandra-chan clung onto Wu Yan like a koala bear. She said pitifully. You've been gone for so long, Flandra-chan missed you so much. It's been 10 days, right? Chuju stared at Wu Yan. Why were you gone for so long? Wu Yan shook his head with a wry smile. Yeah, it's been a bit long. It's only been 10 days, but I've been there for 3 whole years. Allah. Kurama placed her finger on her lips and smiled until her eyes were squinted. How Sama doesn't seem to have changed much. Kotori sucked on the pearl in her mouth and glanced at Wu Yan. This guy is the ancestor of vampires. His lifespan is endless. 3 years is nothing. But I'm not even 30 years old yet. Wu Yan retorted. 3 years is a long time for me, okay? Era, you're so pitiful. Kurumi walked up to Wu Yan and whispered seductively into Wu Yan's ear. How-sama, did you miss us? Or did you miss us? Kurumi put her hand on Wu Yan's chest and slowly moved. She snuggled into Wu Yan's arms and wriggled her body. Wu Yan's face turned red and he swallowed. Seeing Kurumi seducing Wu Yan in front of everyone, the girls raised their eyebrows and their eyes burned. Toka jumped out and yelled, "Don't get so close." Era, what a shame. Kurumi giggled. She whispered into Wu Yan's ear. Let's wait until nightfall and have a good chat. Kurumi laughed as she left Wu Yan's embrace. Wu Yan bitterly smiled as he felt a nefarious fire burning within him. She must be taking revenge on me for being away for so long. Are you reluctant to leave? While he was bitterly laughing, a cold voice came from behind him, making him shudder. He turned around and saw Hinajuku crossing her arms in front of her chest with an expressionless face. She continued expressionlessly. If you don't want to leave, then chase after them. Wu Yan's lips twitched. He glanced at Hinajuku and then at the other girls. His bitter smile turned into a bitter one. He thought they were getting along well. He didn't expect them to be jealous. Chapter 786. Recovering from the joy of the reunion, Wu Yan led the girls to their seats. Ikaros brought out a tea set and poured a cup of black tea for everyone. She also placed a small dessert in front of Flandre-chan and Yono. The two girls were very happy to be treated to such a treat. Looking at this scene, Wu Yan was a bit surprised. Ikaros didn't receive any orders from anyone and she acted on her own by adding desserts for the two girls. Her actions are obviously more thoughtful than before. She's no longer the same as before where she would just follow orders from someone else. Chuju seemed to have read Wu Yan's mind and smiled at him. Ikaros, you've changed a lot. Wu Yan nodded and reached out to rub Ikaros' head. You've changed a lot, you're even cuter now. Ikaros blushed for the first time and started to squirm. Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh out loud. He grabbed her pair of ear-like wings and played with them, causing her to blush even more. Wu Yan's interest was piqued. Just as he was about to tease Ikaros, a piercing gaze landed on him, causing his smile to stiffen. Ahem. Wu Yan coughed in a serious manner before letting go of Ikaros' ears. He picked up a cup of black tea and pretended to drink it. Oh right. Wu Yan paused. Nothing should have happened during this period of time, right? Originally, the reason he asked was because the last time he came back he encountered something strange in the behemoth forest. That's why he suddenly asked about the birth of the Beast King. After all, he was gone for less than a day, Spalier world time, and this time he was gone for 10 days. It's not strange for him to ask such a question. However, when Wu Yan finished speaking, the girls who were trying to impregnate Wu Yan with a single stare suddenly quieted down. They looked at each other and lowered their heads. Wu Yan furrowed his brows and placed his cup back on the table. What's wrong? Did something really happen? The girls looked at each other again before focusing their attention on Kotori. It was obvious that they wanted her to come out and explain the situation. Kotori stopped licking the pearl for a moment and glanced at the girls in annoyance. She looked at Wu Yan. Actually, it's not really. Kotori pondered for a moment. She seemed to be choosing her words carefully. Recently, the Ailu imperial family seems to have some ideas about us. Wu Yan flinched. Ailu Empire's royal family? Did some idiot take a fancy to you and want to take you as his mistress? The serious expressions on the girls' faces all crumbled in an instant. Kotori even bared her little canine teeth, grinding them fiercely as if she wanted to bite through something. His eyes filled with resentment kept glancing at Wu Yan's body. Wu Yan laughed dryly. He quickly straightened his face. What's going on? Humph. Kotori pouted. If we know what's going on, we won't be so frustrated. We heard about it from Fei Fei. Chuju said. Fei Fei called us over and told us that the Ailu imperial family seems to be plotting something. She got the news from Lei Wang. Wu Yan lowered his head and rubbed his chin. You're saying that the imperial family's plotting has something to do with us? That's what Fei Fei said. Chuju shook her head. She said that the imperial family has been keeping an eye on us. Even though they didn't do it openly, Lei Wang thinks that the imperial family is plotting something against us. I see. Wu Yan took a deep breath, his expression tensed up. Our relationship with the imperial family isn't that bad, right? Yes, to be precise, she's not bad at all. Kotori waved the lollipop in her hand and said, Princess Sylph has been feeling grateful towards all of you ever since the incident with the Beast King. She thinks you guys have taken care of her, so she treats us very well in the academy. Hinajuku thought for a moment and nodded. Indeed, Princess Sylph has been taking care of us in some ways. She's only slightly below Starlight Queen and Deadly Forest. That's even less of a reason. Wu Yan raised his head and looked at the girls. Have you all done anything out of line or encountered anything strange in the academy? Chuju and Kotori frowned. They started rummaging through their memories for the past 10 days. Astria suddenly asked in a weak voice. I once stole something to eat. Does that count? Wu Yan's lips twitched when he heard that. As long as you didn't eat a legendary armament, it shouldn't count. Toka also hesitated. I've been there too, Wu Yan laughed awkwardly. Can the two of you eat a legendary armament? Flandre-chan blinked her eyes in realization. Is it because Flan drew a turtle on top of the tower? That very, very tall tower. Wu Yan's heart throbbed like crazy. He almost stopped breathing. Don't tell me it's the arena tower? Flan doesn't know. Flan only knows that there are a lot of people fighting in there. That's it. Wu Yan seemed to have lost all his strength as he slumped down on the table and raised his hand. Think about it carefully. Is there anything that is very strange or very excessive? What a strange thing. Hinajuku tapped her chin with her finger. If there's anything strange, it's when Yukari left. Bing Ling, Bishi and the others came to ask about her whereabouts. Ka and Jaffer also came to ask about her. Something out of line? Kotori glanced at Kurumi, who was sitting elegantly. A male student tried to flirt with her, but she broke his arms and legs. Kurumi tilted her head and smiled. She licked her lips. That person, the smell is terrible, very terrible. All right. Wu Yan held his head and knocked on the table. It's not strange that someone came to ask about Yukari. She's a demigod after all. There are only 5 demigods in the world. It would be strange if no one paid attention to the 6th one. The fact that the council didn't come to ask about her is already very patient. As for the one who tried to molest her, Wu Yan looked at Chuju seriously. Where is his address? What? Hinajuku didn't answer but instead asked, do you think the problem lies with him? But he's just an ordinary student and he's a new student who just entered the school. He's not well informed and that's why this incident happened. Do you want to investigate him? If it's necessary, we can't miss out on any information, Wu Yan said. The other girls nodded in agreement. However, the words that came out of his mouth made the girls fall to the ground. I'll break his 3rd leg after I find out he's not involved. You. Chuju, Kotori and the others were speechless. La. Kurong-san's eyes turned into crescents as she smiled. Haosama, are you jealous? I'm so happy. Hey. Wu Yan straightened his back and he put on a righteous face. Am I that petty? The girls looked at each other and they nodded at the same time. Wu Yan shrunk his head a little. All right, you're a little, huh? The girls couldn't help but laugh. Kotori then said, that's right. I don't know what the royal family is planning, but they've invited us to a ball tomorrow. How about it? Shall we go? Chapter 787. The next day, inside the main hall, all the girls woke up. They sat in the corner of the hall and enjoyed a rare breakfast. It's not that they don't eat breakfast, it's just that their minds aren't focused on the food. Even Astria and Toka looked a little distracted, they're not as lively as they usually are. This is due to the absence of a certain someone. Today, although there was nothing different than usual, and the one they cared about was still sleeping in his room, the moment they thought that he was right beside them and would appear in front of them soon, the air seemed to be more lively. As a result, they felt spirited as they chatted and laughed while eating breakfast. Of course, not all the girls are present. A certain arrogant girl with 2 ponytails came to Wu Yan's room while everyone was enjoying their breakfast. Kotori barged into Wu Yan's room without any hesitation. She pushed open the door and saw Wu Yan sleeping like a dead pig on the bed. Her red eyes were filled with resentment. Seriously, no matter which world we are in, when will you change your habit of sleeping in? Kotori sighed, the black ribbons on her head fluttered with her movements. She walked over to Wu Yan's bedside and she pulled the edge of the blanket with all her might. Get up, Oni-chan. Normally, Kotori would only call Wu Yan by his name when she's in commander mode. She would only call him Oni-chan at certain times. This is her arrogant side. However, after coming to this world, Kotori wasn't used to the name Wu Yan. Perhaps she used to call Wu Yan by his name because she named it herself. That's why Oni-chan became Kotori's nickname for Wu Yan. Even though she seems a little reluctant, it's a good thing for Wu Yan. However, Wu Yan didn't enjoy being called Oni-chan anymore. The only thing he felt was pain. Wasn't it painful to have someone tug at his blanket while he was sleeping, and there was a buzzing sound beside his ear? Wu Yan didn't know about the others, but he himself was in all sorts of pain. His body that was wrapped under the blanket pulled tightly, unwilling to get up, groaning and groaning could be heard from inside. Don't. Let me sleep for a while more. Kotori clenched her teeth and yelled, Get up now. Everyone's up, you're the only one left. It's not like you're going to die without me. Wu Yan muttered. It's not like you're going to die without me. What are you throwing a tantrum for? Seeing how Wu Yan refused to get up like a corpse, Coterie clenched her teeth and she crawled onto Wu Yan's bed. She pulled up the blanket again. Get up. Coterie didn't notice it at all. In the past she would only do something like this when she's in her younger sister mode. Her usual method is to kick the other party and end it once and for all. Wu Yan, who is still praying for more sleep, didn't notice the change in Coterie. Otherwise he would be overjoyed. All he wants to do right now is to stay in his bed. He wouldn't even open his eyes if he had to. Sleep for a while more. Just a while more. After saying that, Wu Yan went silent again. Other than the sound of his breathing, there was no other sound in the bed. Coterie raised her hand in anger. Burn the camel. Wu Yan shuddered. His heart skipped a beat. Is this Coterie really going to use an angel to wake me up? With that in mind, Wu Yan peeked outside the blanket. He saw a red light flashing from Coterie's body. He was scared out of his wits. F***ck. Wu Yan jumped out of the blanket. You really want to use an angel to wake me up? Coterie snorted. She lowered her hand and the red light around her disappeared. She did this to scare Wu Yan, but she didn't say anything. So what? It's not like you're going to die anyway. But it's gonna hurt. Wu Yan grumbled. Who would use a cannon to wake someone up? I am. Coterie glared at Wu Yan. What are you waiting for? Get changed. Wu Yan pursed his lips. My little sister Coterie is cuter. Her voice is so sweet when she wakes me up. Plus. Just as he finished speaking, an ice-cold gaze swept over his body, as if wanting to slice off a piece of flesh from his body. What did you say? Nothing. What? Wu Yan yelled like a child throwing a tantrum. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Coterie. Then he said something else. Don't piss me off. If you piss me off, even I'm afraid of the consequences. For example, punishment. Coterie paused for a moment. Then she recalled what the so-called punishment was. She wanted Wu Yan to break into Toka's bathroom. Coterie set him up, but he saw through it. Of course, that was when she was in her little sister mode. If she was in her commander mode, there's no way Wu Yan would see through it. Wu Yan also gave Coterie a punishment. He forced a kiss on her. Coterie blushed. She looked at the smug Wu Yan and raised her hand again. Scorch the devil, camel. Wu Yan knew Coterie would do that. He jumped up and flew to her side. He grabbed her hand and clasped it behind her back. He cried out in pain. Wu Yan guffawed in delight. Little sister, you're too outdated. Don't you know the same trick is useless against a Saint Seiya? No, a vampire? Coterie glared at Wu Yan and struggled. Let go of me. Wu Yan raised an eyebrow. He didn't let go of Coterie. Instead, he leaned his head on her shoulder and blew into her ear. Coterie's struggling body stiffened up. Wu Yan inhaled deeply and he said in an intoxicated manner. Coterie's scent, it's been 3 years since I last smelled it. Coterie felt her blood rushing from her chest to her neck and up to her cheeks. It only stopped when it reached the top of her head. Her entire face was dyed red by the blood. Let go. Coterie's body trembled. Her voice weakened. Wu Yan's breath made her ears redder than any other part of her body. Her cheeks were red and her legs were weak. Wu Yan acted like he didn't hear anything. He rubbed himself against Coterie like a pig. Ah, it's good to have a little sister. You bastard, what do you think your little sister is? Coterie shouted angrily, but Wu Yan ignored her again. He smiled. My cute little sister. Guess what's going to happen next? Huh. Wu. Coterie let out a strange cry, her voice trembling. Is it another punishment? Of course not. Wu Yan chuckled. Before Coterie could heave a sigh of relief, Wu Yan continued. It's cruel to punish a cute little sister. Since Coterie woke me up, give me a good morning kiss. Isn't it the same? Coterie's mind went blank. Wu Yan used this opportunity to pull Coterie into his embrace. He circled his arms around her waist. Coterie's hands were locked behind her back. He reached out and caressed her cheek. Let's begin. Wait. Coterie cried. Big brother, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Wu Yan flashed a radiant smile before sinking into the abyss. How can there be such a good thing in this world? No. Her cry was replaced by a whimper. The last thing Coterie saw was a face that gradually grew bigger. Chapter 788. This is the Ailu Empire's King City. As the location of the palace, this city is far more developed than any other city in terms of land area. The resources are only found in the supply town next to the behemoth forest. You can say that just walking through the streets here is a feast for the eyes. There are all sorts of shops from the city gate to the royal palace. Every shop is luxurious, it's like a Western-style ancient museum. The pricey goods are displayed in the most eye-catching places. It's a testament to the wealth of these shops and the power behind them. Money wasn't the only way to open a business in Ailu's capital. Many nobles and even the king's relatives were active in the city. They could be seen entering and exiting the city on a daily basis. How could a business without a proper business cater to their needs? That's why almost every shop in the king's city has someone behind them. Some are even opened by the royal family. For example, the only auction house in the king's city is opened by the Ailu Empire's emperor himself. It wasn't that one couldn't cause trouble here, but one had to weigh one's own capabilities. If one didn't have enough background or strength to deter the royal family, one would be courting death by causing trouble here. The knights passing by on the road were usually very bored. If someone could bring them some entertainment, they definitely wouldn't mind playing a trick or two and let them have a taste of the most basic order power of the monarch city. Today the trading companies in King City were even more prosperous than usual. Some of the precious goods that were hidden in the past were all displayed in their shops, raising the quality of the entire trading company to another level. The prices were also slightly raised when the shops opened today, and almost every trading company was like this. The scale of the knights that came and went was much larger than usual. The strength of the members had also increased by a lot. Every one of them was at least level 6 and the leader was at least level 7. Such a huge change was not only to show the strength of King City to the outside world, but also to restrain the guests who came here today. Some time ago the Ailu Empire's royal family sent out invitations to the other 2 empires and 9 great houses. They invited the 12 strongest factions in the Spalier world to a ball in the King City. This ball is a gathering of the 12 strongest factions in the continent. In the past, let alone the current era, even if you include the history of the continent, it's still rare. Usually it's not something that can affect the power structure of the continent. For example, a new house replacing one of the 3 great houses in the empire, or the succession of the emperor's throne. Only such a big event would invite all the strongest factions to a ball. In other words, everyone who was invited or heard about this ball knew that in today's ball, there would be an extremely important matter that was comparable to the replacement of the 3 great clans, and the inheritance of the emperor's throne. Fortunately, this ball is not a meeting. Usually this kind of ball is only used to announce happy events. At least for the royal family it's a happy event. Otherwise this kind of ball would be the Spalier world's most feared Hongmen banquet. In the floating square of Royal City, groups of guards escorted the members of the major forces who had come to attend the ball down from their personal airships. Then they walked toward the palace under the guidance of the royal guides who had been arranged here. They were the pillars of the 3 empires and the 9 great clans. The clan heads of the 9 great clans were all present. Although the emperors of the other 2 empires weren't present, the outstanding leaders of the next generation were all present. There were also some important figures in their respective forces who were all present. One could imagine how high the level of this ball was. Only the people in these factions know that today's ball isn't just for the 12 strongest factions, there's also a small group. In terms of power they can't even compare to the smallest family. In terms of strength they're a small group that they can't help but be wary of. Another airship flew in from afar and slowly landed on the floating plaza. On the deck of this airship, a group led by 4 people came out one after another, waiting for the airship to stop. Among the 4 people leading this group, one has long silver hair and holds a black agile long sword. She's beautiful enough to cause the downfall of a city. The other has long hair but it's black. She's wearing a long robe that looks like a dress. Although her face is a little young, the degree of attractiveness isn't inferior to the former's. These 2 are Feifei and Lulu. Standing behind Feifei and Lulu is Hughes, who hasn't been seen in a long time. He's become the 3rd leader of this group. As for the last leader, it's a middle-aged man. Standing at the front of everyone, the middle-aged man's face is extremely calm and astute. His hands are behind his back like a statue. Even though the wind constantly hit him, it only caused his clothes to flutter. It can't do anything to the tall and straight figure that's like a pillar. His dark eyes are like an ancient well, but there's a flash of light in them from time to time. With one look, it's clear that he's a person who's been in a high position for many years. This person is the current head of the Lori family, the son of the Thunder Emperor Lulu's father and Feifei and Hugh's direct mentor. Lar. As the airship gradually floated down, Lar's figure changed. Lori also began to change her body, which seemed to have been frozen for a long time. She turned her body and looked in the direction of the Imperial Palace. A powerful voice rang out from her body. "We're here." Lar lightly nodded. He looked at Feifei, Lulu and Hughes behind him. He said calmly, "Everyone here today is not below me in status. Remember, you can cause as much trouble as you want, but today you must control yourself. Don't let others see you as a joke." On the surface, Lar's words seemed to be directed at the three of them, but if one looked closely, they would notice that Lar's gaze was actually on Lulu when he said those words. Feifei and Hughes respectfully responded. Lulu saw her father's expression clearly. She pouted her pink lips and said angrily, "Do I look like I'm a troublemaker?" Lar pursed his lips and didn't say anything. But the meaning in his eyes was clear. The answer was obvious. Feifei and Hughes secretly laughed. Lulu was even angrier. She turned around and glared. "Don't laugh." Hughes immediately shut his mouth and tried not to laugh. Feifei's shoulders trembled. Obviously she didn't listen to Lulu. Lulu pulled Feifei's hand and shook it with all her might. "Feifei, okay. Feifei quickly surrendered. "I won't laugh either. You..." Lar didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You act spoiled whenever others lecture you. When will you grow up?" "Don't think I'm small." Lulu stuck out her magnificent chest. "I'll be an adult in a year." "You know you'll be an adult in a year." Lar smiled. "Before you become an adult you're small. After you become an adult you'll still be small." "I'm not small." Lulu angrily swung her feet. "Who says an adult is small?" "Lulu, no matter how old you are, you'll always be a child in my eyes." Feifei smiled helplessly. "Unless you can change your personality." "Why do I have to change my personality when I grow up?" "I'm not going to change." Lulu put her hands on her hips and proudly said something that made people stumble. "When I become an adult, I'll find someone to marry. Let's see if you still think I'm small." Chapter 789. Even with Lar's temperament, after hearing Lulu's astonishing speech, he couldn't help but be stunned. He didn't react for a long time, let alone Feifei. She had already covered her face, unable to bear to see Lulu's smug expression. No matter what, she is still Lulu's guardian. Only Hughes's eyes lit up when he heard Lulu's words. He took a step forward, straightened his back and angrily made his presence known. The only thing he didn't do was point his finger at his own nose and say something like, "Consider me." It's a pity that Lulu didn't even look at him at all. "Ha!" Looking at the proud Lulu, Lar finally couldn't hold back and laughed out loud. His hearty laughter caused the guards on the airship to look at each other and shake their heads in unison. They knew that only in front of their favorite daughter would the shrewd and capable patriarch of the Lori family show such a neat side of himself. Patting Lulu's little head, Lar smiled and said, Good. When the time comes I'll help you check him out. I'll see what kind of person he is." "Don't laugh." Lulu bared her teeth and glared at Lar. "I'm being very serious." "All right, let's be serious. Although Lar said so, there was an unconcealable smile on his face. "From what you're saying, it sounds like you have someone in your heart, right? Tell me, which family's lucky kid is it?" That's not it." The anger on Lulu's face disappeared in an instant and was replaced by a little blush of shyness. Her eyes began to drift. Anyone with a bit of eyesight would be able to see that this girl did not mean what she said. Lar's smile deepened when he saw Lulu's reaction. However, he knew that with his daughter's temperament she wouldn't tell him the truth. He turned to Feifei. "Feifei, who do you think this girl has a crush on?" As Lulu's guardian and his favorite disciple, Lar had absolute trust in Feifei. If Lulu really had a crush on someone, Feifei would definitely know. "Sister Feifei." Hearing her father's words, Lulu seemed to feel that she couldn't hide her thoughts from Feifei. She grabbed Feifei's hand anxiously. Her eyes were full of threats and pleading, but more than that, she was shy. This girl is really in love. Lar shook his head and laughed. He continued to look at Feifei. Feifei glanced at Lulu's expression and smirked, ignoring Lulu's pleading eyes. she said to Lar. Teacher, you know that person. The old family head has high hopes for him. Oh. Lar paused for a moment before lowering his head and muttering to himself. His eyes flashed with a hint of contemplation. You're someone that father thinks highly of and you're from your generation. Could it be? Lar suddenly raised his head. An indescribable smile appeared on his face. Is it that guy called Wu Yan? Of course not. As soon as Lars finished speaking, Lulu immediately jumped up in anger. She shouted with all her might as if she was desperately trying to refute him. Unfortunately, Lulu, the thoroughly red expression on her face and her flustered and exasperated tone made her seem like a child whose heart had been pierced, instantly allowing others to see the truth of the matter. Haha. Lar laughed again and rubbed his chin. Father does have high hopes for that guy. To be able to gain father's favor, he should have something special about him, right? Looks like I need to meet him. Lin Fan sighed. Hearing Lar's words, which sounded like a mother-in-law meeting her son-in-law, Lulu opened her mouth as if she wanted to refute something. However, in the end she didn't say anything. With a red face, she stomped her feet and turned away. I'm ignoring you guys. It was rare to see Lulu's tsundere look. Lar and Fei Fei both let out good-natured laughter, but they didn't see that Hughes's face had long since turned green. Teacher. Hughes couldn't hold back the jealousy in his heart and stood up. I think it's better to think about it. After all, that person's background is a little unclear. Hughes' words made the atmosphere a little heavy. Lar frowned and seemed to think that it made sense. He began to ponder. Fei Fei's eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. As for Lulu, she had already opened her mouth. What right do you have to say that about him? Like an angry kitten, Lulu pointed her finger at Hugh's nose without hesitation. So what if his background is unclear? He's better than you by a few hundred times, no, a few thousand times. Hearing this, Hugh's face darkened even more. The jealousy in his heart began to blind his rationality, causing him to laugh coldly. Is that so? Don't forget he has many women by his side. One look and you can tell that he's a guy who doesn't care about his private life. A guy like that, any random person would be better than him. What he meant was that any random person was better than Wu Yan. If he was pulled out, who knows how much better he would be. In response, Lulu was sarcastic. Is that so? Then why don't you go and compete with him? Why don't you go? What she meant was, you're that random person and you're someone who doesn't even have the guts to compete with. Hughes's lips twitched and his expression changed. He wanted to say, fine, I'll go, but he knows that he's not even a special student. He's just a tier 5 and he's not even a special student. He's just saying he's stronger than the strongest student in Silveria World Institute. Wu Yan already defeated Astria. He's not even a special student, he's just a tier 5 guy. Lars spoke up when Hughes was caught between a rock and a hard place. Alright, you guys don't have to argue. Hughes isn't wrong, that kid's background is unclear. But since father values him, he should be trustworthy. Let's observe him for now. Father. Lulu gnashed her teeth. Her face was filled with reluctance a moment ago, but now she wants to help Wu Yan. She knows her father well. Once he has made up his mind, other than her grandfather, no one can change his mind. She can only glare at Hughes with anger. He hates him to the core. Hughes lost more than he gained this time. The airship landed on the floating plaza. Lar, Fei Fei, Lulu and Hughes led a group of guards down the airship. At the same time, a group of royal family members walked up to Lar's group as if they recognized something. Lord Lar, welcome. No need to be so formal. Lar said calmly. Lead the way, yes. Just as these people were about to bring Lars and the rest of the Lori family members to the palace, a loud whistling sound came from afar. Along with it, a gust of wind swept across the floating plaza. In a moment, everyone on the floating plaza was swept away by the wind. On the floating square, many people were blown off balance by the strong wind. Some of the women's skirts were even blown up by the wind, causing the crowd to cry out in surprise. Lar frowned. He, Fei Fei, Lulu and Hughes all looked up at the sky. Everyone's expression changed. It's a ship. A giant airship. Everyone's eyes gradually widened as the airship that looked like a fortress slowly appeared from the void. It floated in the sky and was exposed to everyone's eyes. It was bigger than any airship and more majestic than any fortress. Its huge size made its metallic body, which was flickering with flowing light, looked somewhat sinister. In an instant, it captured the hearts of many people, so much so that many people on the floating plaza lost their minds. The airship that appeared out of thin air was like a helicopter landing. It brought a gust of wind with it as it slowly descended. It's obvious that the owner of the airship is here. Fraxinus. It's an airship stronghold that's been transformed into a noble relic. Finally, after the giant beast's forest appeared again. Chapter 790. That's... Lar and Feifei's eyes twinkled as they watched the airship slowly descend. Lar's eyes were filled with suspicion while Feifei's eyes were filled with joy. They both recognized the airship's owner. It's Yan's airship. Feifei raised a hand to cover her forehead so that she wouldn't be unable to open her eyes due to the strong wind. Lar looked at Fraxinus from afar. He was also shocked. Is that the special airship? Fraxinus only appeared once outside the behemoth forest. Even though it only appeared once, its existence was already known by many factions. It's a war machine capable of killing tens of thousands of demonic beasts in an instant. Not just regular demonic beasts but rank 5 demonic beasts. Such a terrifying existence, even if it was seen by an ordinary person, news of it would spread like wildfire across the Spalier world. As the #1 family in the Ailu Empire, the Lori family has information on Fraxinus. That's why many people recognized it the moment it appeared. At the same time, he also knew who the person who drove such a huge monster here was. Is that Yan's airship? Lulu's eyes were filled with stars. So cool. Lar stared at Fraxinus for a while before smiling. Interesting. Under everyone's gaze, Fraxinus descended about 10 meters above the airship. It stopped descending and the howling winds disappeared. Fraxinus stopped in midair like a car with its engine turned off. It didn't move at all. Suddenly, an illusory beam of light shot down from the bottom of Fraxinus. It stood on the ground. At the same time, silhouettes emerged from the inside. After the light beam dimmed, the airship that had attracted countless people's attention also quieted down completely. The full appearance of the few silhouettes was also exposed in front of everyone's eyes. They are none other than Wu Yan and Ko, who are here for the ball. Yen. Feifei and Lulu called out with smiles on their faces. Lulu ignored the gazes around her. She jumped towards Wu Yan's group. Wu Yan turned around, and when he saw the scene in front of him, he smiled and waved at Lulu. Yo, long time no see. Boo. Yes. Lulu, who is already in front of Wu Yan, impatiently nodded. She grabbed his arm and pointed at Fraxinus in the sky. She stuttered. Yen. That. Don't get too worked up. Wu Yan bitterly laughed when he saw how out of breath Lulu is. Lulu seemed to have caught her breath. She asked eagerly. That's yours, right? Yes. Wu Yan nodded casually. Lulu's eyes flashed with hope. Yen, I want to sit on that. Let me sit on that. Lulu. Chuju shook her head. She grabbed Lulu's hand helplessly. That's not a toy. What are you going to do? Of course. Isn't that obvious? Lulu replied without hesitation. Of course it's to fly around. Hearing Lulu's matter-of-fact words, everyone felt powerless. Where do you want to fly to? Wu Yan said awkwardly. Our destination is here. Second sound. Lulu let out a dissatisfied cry. But I really want to sit and watch. As soon as Lulu finished speaking, her little head was knocked by someone. Don't make such a request. Feifei scolded. She looked at Wu Yan and smiled. Yan Chuju, you're here, Feifei. Long time no see. Wu Yan greeted Feifei with a smile. We're not late, right? We're not late. Feifei glared at Wu Yan. But Yan, you've been very suspicious lately. I couldn't find you anywhere. Wu Yan smiled awkwardly. He shrugged helplessly. Can't help it. I've been busy. Don't listen to his nonsense. Chuju glanced at Wu Yan with disdain. He's just causing trouble everywhere. Wu Yan pursed his lips. He didn't know if he should refute or not. He pretended he didn't hear or see anything. He waved his hand and a red ripple as large as Fraxinus appeared. It floated in front of the airship. Fraxinus slowly flew into the ripple and disappeared with it. Wu Yan's nonchalant actions under the contrast of the two anomalies caused the eyes of the surrounding girls to sparkle wildly. Their impression of him deepened by quite a bit. It won't be long before what happened here will spread within their exclusive circle of friends. Lulu looked at the disappearing Fraxinus. She lowered her head in regret. It's gone. I just took it back. It's not like it's gone. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If you really want to sit on it, you can sit on it when we get back. Oh, right. Lulu's eyes lit up again, the regret on her face turned into joy. She looked at Wu Yan and shouted. It's decided, you can't go back on your word. Yes, 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 milady. Wu Yan rolled his eyes and the girls around him couldn't help but giggle. While the girls were giggling, Wu Yan felt an oppressive gaze sweeping over him. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the source of the gaze. He saw a middle-aged man with a pair of sharp eyes. Looking at him, Wu Yan subconsciously activated the system perception that he hasn't used for a long time. Lori, level 79, Wu Yan was stunned by the information he got from the system. His scrutinizing expression turned into one of surprise. Of course, he wasn't surprised by the fact that Lar is only one step away from Tier 9, he was surprised by the fact that Lar is a mere Tier 9. He was surprised by the name Lar. The girls noticed the confrontation between Wu Yan and Lar. Fei Fei quickly stepped forward. Yan, he's the current head of the Lori family, head Lar. He's also my teacher Lulu's father. Wu Yan blinked. He looked at Lar again. This time he wasn't scrutinizing him. He was sizing him up. So he's Lulu's father, Fei Fei's teacher, and the son of Grandpa Lei Wang? Musing for a bit, Wu Yan walked up to Lar. The other girls followed him and they arrived in front of Lar. Daddy. Daddy. Lulu pushed Wu Yan's shoulder and introduced Lar excitedly. He's Yan, Wu Yan Lars, and the others couldn't help but feel speechless. Only Lulu would be able to use such a method of introduction in this kind of situation. Greetings, head Lar. Wu Yan's expression turned serious. Lulu was rude. He couldn't be rude to someone he met for the first time. You're welcome. Lar said to Wu Yan the same words he said to the royal family members when they got off the airship. However, his tone was no longer indifferent. Instead, it was filled with curiosity. I've heard of your name for a long time. I've always wanted to meet you. Today, I finally get to meet you. Lar smiled at Wu Yan. As expected of the strongest student in the academy. Even I can't accurately sense your aura. It looks like your strength isn't below mine. I don't have a name. It's just a rumor. Wu Yan waved his hand with a wry smile. I've embarrassed myself in front of you. Not bad. Young man, you're strong but not arrogant. No wonder father values you so much. Lar's lips curled up. Since you're here, let's enter the palace together. Wu Yan naturally couldn't refuse Lar's invitation. He nodded in agreement. Chapter 791. As time passed, it was getting closer and closer to the start of the dance party. In Royal City, in the streets and alleys, in the inns and hotels, the news of the ball had been leaked. Everyone who knew about it had sorted out what they knew and told them. Now almost every place where people gathered would have discussions about the ball. Everyone was guessing what kind of influence would be involved in this kind of ball that would announce a big event. Under everyone's expectation, God seemed to have opened his eyes. Early in the morning, the originally not very sunny weather gradually became better. The sky was clear for thousands of miles without a single dark cloud. The sun seemed to have risen, sprinkling its radiance over thousands of miles, as if it was heralding something. This could be seen from the satisfied expressions on the faces of those who walked into the palace. In fact, it wasn't just the general public. The people who came to the ball were also trying to guess the theme of the ball. No matter what happens later, at least for now, they're still in a good mood. Maybe it's because of the weather or they're just keeping their thoughts to themselves. There were still a lot of people who went to the Imperial Palace to attend the ball. Although only a few forces were qualified to attend, these forces wouldn't just come themselves. For this kind of ball, they would usually bring the younger generation to see the world, meet other nobles, meet face to face, or show off the outstanding talents of the younger generation in front of others. It was a kind of communication. That's why Lar brought Fei Fei, Lulu, and Hughes here. It was also to let them see the world or to show off a little. Needless to say, Lar did have the ability to show off. Fei Fei, for example, broke her own barrier after her trip to the Behemoth Forest. She's not even 25 years old yet. Isn't it enough to show off that she's a rank 8 powerhouse? The Spalier World Academy is a gathering place for geniuses from all over the world. Excluding Wu Yan's group, The only ones who can become a rank 8 powerhouse before the age of 25 are Sylph, Kaya, and Jaffer. Right now, Fei Fei was the only tier 8 powerhouse under the age of 25 other than the royal families of the three empires. This kind of capital was enough to show off in this kind of world-class ball. Of course, this doesn't include Wu Yan's group. Their appearance has caused chaos in the Spalier World Academy. Prior to this, no one in the Spalier World Academy had more than 3 rank 8 powerhouses. As for Lulu, she's ranked less than 100 in the Spalier World Academy. She's a super genius who became a special student through her talent alone. There was still a year before he would reach adulthood. He was 17 years old this year and he was already a 6th grade magician. With Lulu's talent, it shouldn't be hard for her to reach rank 7 by the time she's 20. At that time, if she can reach rank 8 before the age of 25, she'll be another Fei Fei. Although Lulu's current strength isn't enough to catch the eye of others, her talent is outstanding even among the top 100 special students. Her talent is also one of the best. In this ball, she and Fei Fei are the main characters of the Lori family. Hughes, on the other hand, was only an elite student. His talent couldn't compare to Lulu's and his strength couldn't compare to Fei Fei's. He couldn't even compare to Lulu's. However, he was almost at the peak of the 5th order and he had just turned 18. He should be able to reach the 6th order by the age of 20, and the 7th order by the age of 20. In this kind of situation he should be able to make a name for himself. However, compared to Wu Yan's group, they're more than a level lower. All of them are rank 8 and above. Ikaros and Flandrachon are rank 9 powerhouses. On top of that, there's also Wu Yan whose strength is constantly changing. They don't know why they're invited to this ball, but they're definitely qualified to participate. In front of the palace gates, the guards stopped here and didn't continue forward. The nobles who came to participate in the ball all left their subordinates behind. Those who were familiar with each other walked in while chatting and laughing with each other. Those who weren't familiar with each other just greeted each other before being led to the ball by the guide. For a moment the scene was quite lively. Lord Lar is here. When Lar and Wu Yan appeared with the girls, the nobles and ministers in front of the palace warmly welcomed them. Some came to get acquainted with them while others came to get acquainted with them. There are quite a number of such people at the palace gates. When Lar saw them he couldn't help but frown. Let's go in. Lar didn't even look at those nobles. His body naturally emitted a wave of dou qi like a gentle breeze. Although the dou qi wave was small, it directly forced the surrounding nobles and ministers back. Moreover, it didn't hurt them at all. Then those nobles and ministers looked at each other in shock as he walked into the palace. Wu Yan, who saw the scene just now, was stunned. He looked at Lar with admiration. As expected of the head of the number 1 family, not only is he only a step away from reaching rank 9, his control over his strength is already at the microscopic level. In terms of control, he's on par with Wu Yan, who has infinite martial refinement. Lar isn't Wu Yan, who can directly exchange abilities with the system. His control over his strength must have been honed through countless trials and tribulations. Unlike Wu Yan, who has a golden finger, his methods are brilliant. Of course, it's hard to say who will win in a real fight with Lar. Wu Yan didn't just play games and fall in love during the 3 years he spent in Sword and Saber Dominion. Don't forget, Wu Yan can also gain experience by killing monsters in SAO. The monsters in SAO can't be compared to real strong players. Wu Yan won't get a lot of experience from killing monsters like that, but it's a lot of experience. After killing monsters like that for 3 whole years, Lar will be able to level up a lot. Wu Yan's current level is the same as Lar, level 79. He's a true peak rank 8. At this point, leveling up is the end of the road. It won't be easy to level up anymore. This can be seen from Astria, who reached peak rank 8 before Wu Yan entered Sword and Saber Dominion. 3 years of experience boosted Wu Yan to the peak of Tier 8. Before they departed, Astria was already at the peak of Tier 8. Despite sharing 3 years of experience with Wu Yan, she still hasn't broken through. Ikaros also took a long time to break through to the next tier. One can only imagine how long it would take for her to break through to the next tier. On the way to the ball, people from other factions seemed to have recognized Lar and Wu Yan's group. They started looking at them. It's not that they haven't heard of Wu Yan's clique having a good relationship with the 2 pearls of Lori family, but they didn't expect them to attend the ball together. Looks like in their hearts, they're going to have to re-evaluate each other's statuses and calculations. After all, a slight move on one part can affect the whole situation. This doesn't necessarily mean a good thing. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the ball venue. It's a dazzling palace. It's entirely silver in color. After entering the palace, they saw a magnificent sight. The walls were painted in gold and there were magic lamps hanging from the ceiling. The entire place looked like a colorful paradise. Luxurious and extravagant are the first words that come to everyone's mind. Quite a number of people have already arrived. They gathered in groups of 3 to 5 and chatted with each other. There are also some juniors following them. There are about 100 people in the hall. It's not a small number. As for the ball's host, he hasn't appeared yet. Chapter 793. Wu Yan felt uneasy when he heard Astria, Toka and Flandrachon's conversation. These 3 girls couldn't really be planning to treat the ball as a banquet, and then have a period of inhumane eating and drinking, right? Thinking of this, Wu Yan couldn't stay calm anymore. He can already imagine how the 3 girls would look at them as if they are magical beasts and country bumpkins if they are allowed to do as they please. Wu Yan stopped Astria and Toka, who were about to rush to the table. He chuckled and he asked them in a careful tone. Are you girls hungry already? Astria and Toka blinked and rubbed their stomachs. They nodded in unison. Yeah. I'm hungry. Cold sweat dripped down Wu Yan's forehead. He couldn't keep his cool anymore. These 2 natural foodies, if left alone, today's ball would definitely become a joke. Wu Yan turned to Chuju and Kodori for help. He hoped they could help him. Chuju and Kodori were also imagining Astria and Toka eating and drinking. Their mouths twitched. They couldn't keep their cool anymore. Chuju sighed and walked over. She pressed down on Astria's shoulder. Astria-chan, can you bear with it for the time being? Sigh. Sigh, Astria complained. Why? There's no reason. Chuju said with a troubled expression. But if you do this, Yen will be troubled. Is that so? Astria flinched and she looked at Wu Yan with a pitiful expression. She looked like an abandoned puppy. Master, am I bothering you? Toka sucked on her finger and she looked at Wu Yan with a pitiful expression. Wu Yan cursed inwardly when he saw the teary eyes of the 2 beauties. He also felt his scalp tingling. Wu Yan raised his hand weakly. It's not bothering me. Not bothering you. Toka's expression immediately brightened. Then can we go eat now? I. Wu Yan's back was drenched in cold sweat. He didn't know what to do. Kodori turned around and smiled. What Oniisen means is, since you 2 are hungry, he wants to cook for you when we get back. Kodori grinned. The eyes of the 2 gluttons lit up as they looked at Wu Yan in anticipation. Really? Of course it's real. Kodori grinned mischievously. She glanced at Wu Yan and she teased him. Don't you think so? My cute Onii-san. Ahaha. Wu Yan laughed dryly. He looked like he aged 10 years as he slumped his shoulders. He knew Kodori wasn't just trying to restrain the 2 girls who might get out of hand. She was trying to get back at him for forcing a kiss on her this morning. No matter what, it's still better than letting the 2 girls go out and cause trouble. Wu Yan could only nod helplessly. Yeah. Wu Yan rubbed Astria and Toka's head. I will cook for you 2 when we get back. Until then, can you guys bear with it? Okay. Aha. The 2 girls nodded their heads without any hesitation. They aren't picky eaters, but Wu Yan's cooking is different in their hearts. It's not just because it's delicious, it's also because he's the one who made it. Onii-san. Flan wants it too. Flandrachon hugged Wu Yan's leg in jealousy. Me too. Yoshino tugged at Wu Yan's sleeve. Era. Kurumi smiled shyly. I miss Onii-sama's cooking too. Well then. Kodori smirked. Count me in as well. Humph. Hinajika didn't say anything. She only hummed twice, but the silence spoke louder than words. Looking at this and then looking at that, he didn't know what to say. Behind him, a soft and strong hand pulled at the corner of his shirt. He didn't need to look back, he can already imagine what kind of gaze Ikaros is looking at him with right now. Wu Yan got the gist of it. Today is his day of suffering. At this moment, Hinajiku retracted her smile and looked ahead. Yen. Everyone stopped fooling around when they saw Chuju's expression. They followed Chuju's gaze. Wu Yan's lips curved into a smile when he saw the scene. A handsome young man in luxurious feathered robes with a crown on his head walked towards them with a group of people who looked like guards and subordinates. He had an elegant smile on his face when he saw Wu Yan's group. Even his eyes were shining. No, to be more precise, he wasn't looking at Wu Yan's group. He was looking at Ikaros alone. It's been a while since they last met, Kaya. Everyone. Long time no see. Kaya walked up to Wu Yan's group and placed his hand on his left chest. It was a very noble gesture. I heard you would be attending the ball as well. I was very excited. You flatter me. Wu Yan scratched his cheeks and he shrugged. He didn't mince his words. I believe Prince Kaya knows that it's unreasonable for us to attend this ball. The people behind Kaya all looked at each other, feeling strange. After all, to them, being able to participate in this ball was a rare honor, yet the person in front of them said this as if he didn't care at all. Kaya, on the other hand, smiled after a momentary pause. Sir Wu Yan is as straightforward as ever. However, I don't think you all lack the qualifications to attend this ball. Kaya may be a little far from here, but I've heard of your lively performances in the Behemoth Forest many times. After that, Ka turned around and looked at the quiet Ikaros. The splendor from earlier once again shone in his eyes. Especially Miss Ikaros. Kaya didn't expect Miss Ikaros to be a noble Tier 9 fighter. This is too shocking. This was the truth. When he first heard that Ikaros was a Type 9 powerhouse, Kaya even doubted his own ears. After confirming that this information was correct, Kaya's heart was filled with shock, followed by an even more fervent love. He already had feelings for Ikaros back in the Spalier World Academy. Now that he knows Ikaros' true strength, his feelings for her deepened. Perhaps in his heart, the more outstanding his sweetheart, the better. Ikaros lifted her head and she looked at Kaya. Then she returned her gaze to Wu Yan. She continued in a soft voice. I am only trying to protect Master. Kaya's smile froze and his smile became somewhat forced. Is that so? Sir Wu Yan sure is blessed. Kaya himself didn't realize there was a tinge of jealousy in his voice when he said that. Chuju, Kotori, Kurumi and the rest exchanged glances before shaking their heads and laughing. They're not laughing at Kaya being jealous, they're laughing at him for being pitiful. If someone were to ask them if they love Wu Yan, their first answer would be yes. But if someone were to ask them if they love Wu Yan the most, no matter how unwilling they are, they wouldn't say they love Wu Yan the most. Because in this world, no matter which world, there will only be one person who loves Wu Yan the most. That's the girl in front of them who hasn't taken her eyes off Wu Yan for even a second. The girl who gave her heart and soul to Wu Yan. Only Ikaros has the right to say that the one who loves Wu Yan the most is her. Kaya is just a pitiful person. Chapter 794. Ka didn't express his intentions too obviously. He suppressed his urge to talk to Ikaros and started chatting with Wu Yan's group. Not only Ka, even Bingling, Bishi, Jaffer and other youngsters from major factions came over to chat with Wu Yan. It's not because they are familiar with Wu Yan's group, it's mainly because of Ikaros and Flandrachon's relationship with this small group. They wanted to make friends with them, they wanted to test them, they wanted to come over and greet them. Wu Yan is very impatient with these people coming to find him. After all, he doesn't like this kind of hypocritical pleasantries. But he didn't go overboard. After all, it's a ball after all, it's necessary to have some exchanges. Luckily, this isn't the first time Wu Yan has experienced this kind of situation, so he handled it with ease. He said what should be said and didn't say what shouldn't be said. His choice of words was also quite appropriate. Chuju, Kotori and Kurumi were surprised to see Wu Yan like this. In their minds, Wu Yan wasn't someone who couldn't appear in big events, but he wasn't good at it either. They didn't expect him to look like this. It seems like the 3 years of dungeon exploration didn't just change his strength. Of course, the girls didn't just stand there and do nothing. Each of them is famous in Silveria World Institute. With their outstanding looks and strength, there were plenty of people who came to chat with them. Other than Ikaros, Astria, Toka, Flandrachon and Yoshino, Hinajiku, Kotori and Kurumi are all doing the same thing as Wu Yan. They're all here to chat with the girls who came to chat with them. In a short while. It actually caused this place to become unusually lively. It has to be said that the 3 girls' performance in this situation is in no way inferior to Wu Yan's. Hinajiku is the student council president of Hakuo Academy. As the king of popularity in a noble academy, her magnanimous temperament won the praises of many. Kotori was the commander of Ratatosker. She was even more at home than Chuju in this situation. The nobles who looked down on her due to her petite appearance were surprised. They even looked at Kotori in a different light. As for Kurumi, needless to say, even though her heart was as pure as an elf's, her nature was much closer to that of a human's due to her dark experiences. Moreover, her elegant cultivation made her seem like a rich young lady. She spoke with ease and became a rare sight at the ball. After the ball, the girls had already become the focus of attention. The surrounding male participants frequently shifted their gazes towards them, and groups of them tried to strike up a conversation. Perhaps in their hearts, the young girls had already become the target of their pursuit. However, it's fine if they think about it, but if they want to put it into action, they'll have to consider how important they are. While the ball is in full swing, a bright light flashed across the room. At a certain moment, a dazzling magical light shone at the front of the entire ball and shone on a staircase. At the same time, the surrounding lights gradually dimmed. Along with that, everyone's voices became calm and gentle. Wu Yan's group finally broke away from the endless social interaction. They looked forward. The main character is here. Kotori muttered. Everyone's heart started beating faster. What's the purpose of this ball? They'll find out soon enough. Under everyone's gaze, the crowned Ailu Emperor slowly walked out of the staircase under the illumination of the magic lanterns. Princess Sylph was also wearing an ice blue princess dress. She held the Emperor's arm and appeared in front of everyone. Many young people's eyes lit up when they saw her. Wu Yan focused his gaze on the Emperor. This is the first time Wu Yan is seeing the Emperor in person. Back at the top of the arena tower, Wu Yan only saw a projection of the Emperor. Now that the Emperor is standing in front of him, Wu Yan couldn't help but activate the system's perception. Kate. Ailu level 85. As expected, Wu Yan took a deep breath. Level 85. Aside from Yukari, this is the highest level player Wu Yan has seen so far. The Emperor of Ailu Carter seemed to be in his 40s. Judging from his appearance, he was only a few years older than Lar, which made him quite young. To be able to reach the 9th rank at such a young age, it was no wonder he was the emperor of an empire. Of course, Kite's real age was definitely a lot older than his appearance. The higher one's strength, the higher the quality of his Do Qi and mana. His body would be nourished day by powerful Do Qi and mana, making it harder and harder for people to age. Kite's age should be about 10 years older than his appearance, roughly 50 years old, but this was already very astonishing. Remember Lei Wang, who is also a rank 9, is already in his 70s or 80s. He's also a rank lower than Kate. That's enough to explain a lot. Kate sensed Wu Yan's gaze and looked at Wu Yan. When their eyes met, Wu Yan's lips curled into a smile. Wu Yan didn't avoid Kate's gaze. He nodded at Kate and applauded with the crowd. Because of this, Wu Yan didn't notice that Kate is looking at him with a slightly different gaze. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this ball. When Carter opened his mouth, the lights in the surroundings were restored. However, the people present did not restore their voices. Instead, they quietly waited for Carter to open his mouth again. Kate nodded and said, "Although I'd like everyone to enjoy the ball, there's something I need to announce first. It's here." Everyone held their breaths and looked at Kate, including Wu Yan's group. Kate clapped his hands. Sylph, who was standing beside him, stepped forward and stood next to him. Her long, ice blue hair was accentuated by her princess dress. It was as if she was adorned with stars and moonlight. Her cold expression didn't ruin her beauty at all. Instead, it made her face even more alluring and mesmerizing. "This is my daughter, Sylph." Kate had a doting expression on her face. She held Sylph's hand and said proudly, "I'm sure everyone here knows who Sylph is, right?" Sylph used to be the strongest student in Spalier World Academy. She held that position for several years. Due to Wu Yan's group's interference, she's no longer the strongest student in the academy. There are a few people stronger than her, but that didn't stop her from shining brightly. That's why Kite's tone was filled with pride. Sylph was his most beloved daughter in his later years. She was also talented and powerful. She was able to suppress the leaders of the other two empires in Silveria World Institute and become the strongest. Kite was very pleased with her achievement. However, Kate's prideful expression softened a little. It was replaced with pity. Facing everyone, Kite smiled and said, "Today I called everyone here to announce." Kite's gaze slowly shifted to the person below and a glint flashed across his eyes. That person was none other than Wu Yan. Wu Yan frowned when he saw Kate's gaze. He had a bad feeling about this. Kate's next words confirmed his suspicions. It's him. Wu Yan. Kate pointed at Wu Yan. Her voice echoed in everyone's ears. He will be Sylph's fiancé. Chapter 795. Wu Yan was stunned. The other girls were stunned as well. Everyone in the room was stunned by what they heard. That shocking speech was like an echo. Even after a few seconds, it was still reverberating in the air. It was repeated over and over again into everyone's ears, giving them a dreamlike feeling that was hard to believe. Wu Yan looked at the stunned Wu Yan and then at the emotionless Sylph. Everyone felt like they were about to go crazy. Are you sure the two of them are compatible? It's also because of this that these people who have seen a lot of big events were shocked by Carter's statement. It's not that they are mentally weak, but the contrast is too great. They couldn't believe that the famous ice princess in front of them would become the fiancé of the recently famous Wu Yan. This is too sudden. Regardless of how sudden it is, Carter's statement is proof that he is telling the truth. Words of gold and jade are equally suitable for the ruler of an empire in the Spalier world. However, when they realized that this was the reason why Carter organized this ball, everyone's heart skipped a beat. They looked at Carter with a pensive gaze. Sylph is an excellent person and is popular in the Ailu Empire's imperial family. However, it's a bit exaggerated to gather all 12 of the continent's top factions for a ball just to celebrate her marriage. In the past, a ball of this nature was supposed to announce something. At the very least, the emperor of an empire or one of the three great houses was replaced. Only then would a ball of this nature be held. The ball was supposed to announce the change in power structure to the entire world. The marriage of an empire's princess is a big deal. Isn't it a bit too much to make an announcement at a ball like this? Unless, of course, Wu Yan becoming Sylph's fiancé has other implications. For example, Kate is planning to marry Sylph to Wu Yan in order to pass the throne to Wu Yan. That's another matter altogether. But is that even possible? As far as they know. Before today, Carter and Wu Yan didn't interact at all. Even if Carter paid attention to him due to his mysterious identity, he wouldn't give the throne to an outsider. It's not like Carter doesn't have a son. He might not be famous, but it's still better than an outsider. In other words, Carter has other considerations. Could it be? He wants to use Wu Yan as a link to rope in the two Tier 9 individuals. He also wants to rope in the demigod powerhouse, Yakumo Yuko. With that thought in mind, Kaya, Safa and the others, even the patriarchs of the great clans such as Lars, all had serious expressions on their faces. If that's the case, the entire Spalier world's power structure will change. No. Absolutely not. On Lars' side, Lulu's small face was filled with panic. Even her face was somewhat pale and there was a teardrop in the corner of her eye. How can this be? This is too sudden. Feifei's brows furrowed tightly. She looked at Wu Yan and the others who are still in a daze. Her expression darkened. Feifei. Lulu grabbed Feifei's hand. Her pale face was covered in sweat. What should I do? Lar and Feifei smiled bitterly when they heard Lulu's words. Even an idiot can tell that Lulu likes Wu Yan. It's ironic that they were just discussing the relationship between Wu Yan and Lulu. They didn't expect the topic to change to someone else's fiancé. It's too dramatic. Unlike Lar and the others, Hughes looked excited. If Wu Yan really became Sylph's fiancé, he would be the happiest one of all, but he's sure to be one of the happiest ones. Lar looked at Lulu, who was on the verge of collapsing. He smiled bitterly and patted her shoulder. Boo, don't worry. Look at the little guy's expression. I don't think he knows about this. Let's not jump to conclusions. Is that so? Lulu completely lost her composure. She only calmed down when she saw Wu Yan's stunned expression. Feifei couldn't help but smile bitterly. It's not that Wu Yan doesn't have any women around him. In fact, he has a lot of them. All of them are outstanding. None of them are inferior to Sylph. Lulu also knows about this. She also knows that Wu Yan's relationship with Chuju and the others isn't as simple as normal companions. In the past, Lulu didn't care about this matter at all. She didn't expect her to be so anxious today. Perhaps in Lulu's naive heart, she can accept it because she has a good relationship with Chuju and the others. However, Sylph is just a stranger to Lulu. That's why her reaction is so big. Feifei can only think of it this way. She also needs to use this excuse to hide her irritation. On the other hand, Wu Yan finally reacted to the murderous glares of the women. His forehead was covered in sweat. Aren't you going to explain yourself? Hinajiku's face was as black as charcoal. Not just her, even Kotori's face was a little unhappy. Ikaros's eyes were also a little shaken. As for Toka, if Kurumi didn't cover her mouth, she would have already made a scene. Wait, let me clear my thoughts. Wu Yan shook his head in confusion. I don't know what's going on either. Chuju and Kotori both frowned. Wu Yan has never been separated from them other than when he's in a dungeon. It's impossible for him to have sex with Sylph behind their backs. Even if it's possible, Sylph's cold personality wouldn't do such a thing. Kotori's expression changed. Seems like Senpai Feifei was right. The Ailu Empire has other intentions towards us. Sylph is probably just a cover. Chuju gritted her teeth and looked at Wu Yan. What do you plan to do next? Wu Yan rubbed his brows. He looked around. Kate's words made him the center of attention. Everyone is looking at him, including Kate and Sylph. They are waiting for him to make a decision. Carter looked at Wu Yan's disheveled appearance and he smiled before opening his mouth again. I know this announcement is a little sudden. I didn't discuss it with the person in question. Many people cursed in their hearts. How dare you announce it without discussing it with the person in question? Aren't you afraid of losing face? Little fellow, although my daughter's temperament is a little cold, but in other aspects, it shouldn't be to the extent that you don't like her, right? Kite smiled and said, before this there were many people who proposed marriage to me, but I couldn't bear to agree. Now that I've decided to marry her to you, my heart is still aching. So little fellow, give me an answer here. Are you willing to be Sylph's fiancé? Carter's words caused everyone to look at Wu Yan again. Wu Yan smiled bitterly when he sensed the mixed emotions in their gazes. Kai was a sly old fox. How could she refuse him when he said that she was in pain? Wouldn't I be offending the entire Ailu Empire if I refuse? Wu Yan could feel his brows starting to hurt, but he still took a step forward after thinking for a bit. Your Majesty. Wu Yan took a deep breath to calm everyone down, including Chuju and the others. Should I agree or not? Should I agree or not? Many people already had an answer in their hearts. If they were in his shoes, they would have agreed without hesitation. A girl with super talent, super beautiful appearance, and super strong background was going to marry him? Is there even a need to think about it? However, Wu Yan's next words shattered their thoughts. I'm sorry. I can't agree. Chapter 797. And so the ball came to an end amidst the cheers of the guests. At least that's what it looks like on the surface. After Kate's announcement, it was up to the participants to decide what to do after they returned home. That was their own business. In their minds, Wu Yan and Sylph's engagement is just a way to rope in Yakumo, Ikaros, Flandrachan and the others. They believe that Wu Yan and his party would be tempted by any faction. Even though the ball is over, Wu Yan, the main character of the ball, stayed behind. It's not only because of Kite's invitation but also because he has a lot of questions in his mind. In the palace, Kite sat on a chair at the front of the room. Next to him is Sylph, who has changed into an ice blue robe. Wu Yan, Chuju, Kotori, Kurumi, and the others are facing each other in silence. They've been like this for quite some time now. Kite sipped his tea leisurely and smiled at Sylph, who was pouring tea for him. He glanced at the silent Wu Yan and the others and shook his head. He finally opened his mouth. I know you have a lot of questions. Kite lowered his head. He sighed and said to Wu Yan, ask me anything you want, I will answer you if I can. Wu Yan lowered his head and he exchanged glances with Hinajiku and Kotori. The two girls nodded and he looked at Kite, who had an indiscernible expression on his face. He took a step forward. If that's the case, I won't hide it any longer. Wu Yan pursed his lips. He looked at the expressionless Sylph and asked Kite in a serious tone. Your Majesty, can you tell me why Princess Sylph is engaged to me? I didn't think you'd ask me that directly. Don't tell me you're not attracted to Sylph at all? Kate chuckled. Well. Wu Yan scratched his cheek. It's not that I'm not attracted to her. It's just that I've never wanted to be with Princess Sylph. After all, we haven't interacted much. That's not a problem at all. Kite said nonchalantly. How many marriages do you think there are in the upper echelons of society? If it was someone else, they would have accepted regardless of whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. Sylph's looks were outstanding and her strength was outstanding. She's also the pearl of an empire. Her appearance, power and background are all amazing. Indeed, if it was someone else they would have accepted Kite's proposal. Even if they had nothing to do with Sylph, they would have accepted it with joy. Unfortunately, Wu Yan isn't one of them. He has no shortage of beautiful girls around him. All of them are girls he brought out from his favorite 2D world. In his heart they are much better than Sylph. Not to mention their strength. None of the girls around him are weaker than Sylph. As for background, if he wants one he can rely on the system and his own abilities to create one that is on par with Sylph. Although it won't be that easy, she won't be weak by any means. In short, what Kite is trying to say might be attractive to others but not to Wu Yan. Indeed, there are almost no men in this world who would refuse such a good thing. Wu Yan shrugged. Almost no doesn't mean there aren't any. I don't deny Princess Sylph's excellence, but that doesn't seem to be a good enough reason for your majesty to agree to her marriage. Why do you say that? Kite calmly said. I'm sure you understand your value. It's not strange for me to use a marriage to entice you, right? Wu Yan and the others are all above tier 8. Ikaros and Flandrachan are even stronger. There's also the elusive demigod Yakumo Yukari who has a close relationship with them. Who wouldn't want to rope in such a small group? Ikaros, Astria and Flandrachan are considered normal humans. Most importantly, they are all very young. Ikaros, Astria and Flandrachan are considered normal humans. Yet all of them manage to surpass tier 8. Ikaros, Flandrachan have a high chance of becoming demigods in the future. With such potential, if they could rope them in, then no matter which power it was, they would not hesitate to pay a huge price. But I don't think your majesty will agree to this marriage just because of that. Wu Yan raised his head and stared at Kite. I don't know Princess Sylph that well, but I don't think she will agree to a marriage without meaning. If she doesn't agree, your majesty, you won't force her, right? Of course I won't. Kate yelled without hesitation. Wu Yan and Ko had a weird look on their faces when they realized that their actions were a bit exaggerated. Seeing this, he coughed dryly and pretended to be serious as he took a sip of tea. If Sylph doesn't agree, I won't force her no matter what. Wu Yan went silent again. Sylph's cold expression thawed a little. She looked at Kite with more respect. Coterie, who was standing behind Wu Yan, suddenly spoke up when the crowd was about to descend into another round of silence. In that case, can we assume that Princess Sylph was the one who agreed to the marriage and even suggested it herself? Wu Yan, Kate and the other girls' expressions changed. Wu Yan had a look of disbelief on his face. Kate looked at Coterie with admiration. The other girls looked at Sylph with caution and disbelief. Sylph was the only one who didn't show any signs of disbelief. Not bad, little girl. You're quite quick-witted, Kite said with a smile. Coterie was a little annoyed when Kite called her a little girl, but she remained patient. Then it's about time you tell us your true intentions, right? Coterie's impolite words froze the air around them. Kite and Sylph looked at Wu Yan and the others. After a while, Kite sighed. Little guy. Kite looked at Wu Yan with an indecipherable gaze. He then looked down at Wu Yan's hand. Can you let me have a look at that ring? Ring. Wu Yan and the others asked in unison. They then looked down at Wu Yan's hand. There is indeed a ring on his hand. It's a pure white ring. It's the ring he obtained from the treasure hunt. It's the ring that represents authority. Wu Yan recalled Sylph's strange reaction towards his ring when he was investigating the Beast King in the Behemoth Forest. Since then, Sylph treated him like a stranger, but now her gaze towards him has changed. Could it be that all these changes are due to this ring? If that's the case. Wu Yan looked at Kite and Sylph, who were still staring at the ring. He narrowed his eyes. If Kate and Sylph's strange behavior and today's wedding were all because of this ring, then he's about to come into contact with a very big secret. Wu Yan didn't forget the description of the 3 rings he got from the treasure hunting ground, including the Ring of Authority. The box containing the rings described the 3 rings to him. You can get as much gold as the whole world. You can get as much power as the whole world. You can get as much power as the whole world. Chapter 798. With these 3 rings, if he could obtain the things described on the box, then the price of these 3 rings would be unimaginably high. Too bad Wu Yan didn't get the things described on the box when he got the 3 rings, because there were some words written on the box. On the box representing authority, was written, Successor, this is an indestructible ordinary ring, not a space ring. However, with this ring, the entire Ailu Empire is yours. You have the right to rule the empire. On the box representing power, was written, Successor, this is indeed a space ring. If you can open it, you will be able to rule the entire Spalier world. Do you want to open it? Go to the Ailu Empire's king, he will tell you everything. The words on the ring box that represented the gold coin read, Successor, do you want my treasure? If you want it, I can give it to you. Go find the key, I have placed all my treasures in this ring. At first, Wu Yan didn't believe the words on the box. At that time he was only a tier 7 fighter. Even though he could be considered a strong fighter in the Spalier world, he was still at the bottom of the strong fighters list. The things written on these 3 rings were too far away for him. But now, touching the ring representing authority on his finger, Wu Yan's mind raced. From Carter's words, it's obvious that he knows about this ring. In other words, what was written on the box that contained the ring was most likely true. Then the implications are huge. Just the fact that the ring of authority can give him the right to rule the entire Ailu Empire is already a big deal. Even though Wu Yan didn't think Carter would give him the right to rule the entire Ailu Empire with just one ring, Wu Yan didn't really care about authority. What he really cared about was if the words written on the box were real. On the box representing power, was written, Go to the Ailu Empire's king, he will tell you everything. What does that mean? He pondered for a moment. Under everyone's gaze, Wu Yan removed the ring of authority from his finger and tossed it to Kite. Kate and Sylph panicked when they saw the ring of authority flying towards them. Kate threw away the teacup in her hand and hurriedly caught the ring. She heaved a sigh of relief when she felt the cold temperature of the ring. She glared at Wu Yan. Bastard! Do you really have to throw it? Carter cursed angrily in front of Wu Yan and the others' dumbfounded expressions. What if you accidentally break it? That. Wu Yan chuckled awkwardly and he raised his hand carefully. Is that something that can be broken so easily? Humph. Kite snorted coldly. Even Sylph had a displeased look on her face. Everyone could tell that this ring has a special meaning to it. She retracted her gaze from Wu Yan. Kite stared at the ring of authority on his finger. His eyes trembled as he caressed the ring. The more he caressed it, the more excited he became. It's right. It's right. Kite said excitedly. This is the ring of authority. The ring of authority? Wu Yan looked at Chuju, the only one who went to the treasure hunt with him before. Chuju shook her head, she didn't understand what he meant. Wu Yan hesitated for a moment and asked Kite. Your Majesty, do you recognize this ring? Kite's hand stopped caressing the ring. His expression calmed down. He smiled bitterly when he heard Wu Yan's question. Of course I recognize it. This belongs to the Ailu Empire. Originally. Coterie frowned. Can you explain? Kite calmed down but his grip on the ring tightened. He looked like he was struggling. Wu Yan and the others frowned. They looked at Kite and waited for him to continue. Sylph seemed to know why Kite was acting like this. She sighed and remained silent. Due to Kate's strange behavior, the atmosphere in the room gradually turned heavy. Everyone was silent and their eyes were fluctuating. No one knew what they were thinking about until Kate closed his eyes and said something to Wu Yan. Little guy, if I want this ring from you, would you be willing to give it to me? Wu Yan's expression hardened and his face slowly turned dark. But he quickly smiled. Before that, can you explain to me what's going on? Explain. Explain? Kate smiled bitterly. That's true. But after I explain, you probably won't agree to transfer the ring of authority. Kite stood up and walked to the wall with his back facing Wu Yan and the others. Do you know who the founder of the Ailu Empire is? Founder. The founder of the empire. Hinajiku thought for a bit and said with uncertainty, Is it one of the 4 gods of Silveria, the one called Ailu? Yes. Yes. Carter turned around and nodded solemnly. He is the Ailu god who named this empire after himself. He is also the ancestor of the Ailu Empire's imperial family. Gods. Wu Yan and Co exchanged glances with Sylph. They couldn't help but feel a little shaken. Gods are existences that strike fear into the hearts of the people in any world. They might not feel anything when they're not real, but when they're real they can strike fear into the hearts of the people even if they don't want to. It's not a matter of courage, it's a matter of subconsciously revering God. Carter was the same. However, while he was wavering, there was also a bit of fanaticism. His voice was accompanied by this fanaticism as it echoed in everyone's ears. Once upon a time, the Spalier world gave birth to 4 gods that surpassed demigods. The first god who named this world after himself, Silveria, and the other 3 gods who named their empires after themselves, Ailu, Balba, and Fair. The power of the gods is not something we can imagine. Even the few demigods in this world don't know how strong the gods are. Since ancient times, demigods have been rare, but there has never been a gap in the number of demigods. Every era has a few demigods standing at the peak of the world. But there are only 4 gods. Kite raised his head and looked at Wu Yan with a burning gaze. Do you know why? Wu Yan felt a heavy weight in his heart. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on him, suffocating him. Wu Yan knew he was about to learn the highest level of secret in this world. It's a secret that not even a tier 8 can know. Even a tier 9 can't. Hugging his heavy heart, Wu Yan slowly shook his head. This wasn't out of Kite's expectations, but he still bitterly smiled. That's because it's impossible to ascend to the celestial rank through cultivation alone. Cultivation can't ascend to the celestial rank. The room was filled with confused voices. Kodori couldn't help but ask. Don't you think your words are contradictory? If cultivation can't ascend to the celestial rank, how did the 4 gods come into existence? Kite shook his head. I only said that cultivation can't ascend to the celestial rank. I didn't say there's no other way. Other way. Wu Yan took a deep breath to suppress his wavering heart. You're saying we need to rely on external forces to ascend to the celestial rank? You're right. You guessed right. Kite praised with a smile. However, his smile was rather forced, causing everyone to fall silent. Chapter 799. There are all sorts of reasons why humans are so ambitious, but at the end of the day there is only one goal: to become stronger. As the saying goes, there is no end to learning and there is no end to martial arts. The former may be true, but the latter has a certain limit, because everyone's possibilities are limited. If someone has good talent, it will naturally be easier and smoother to walk the path. If someone has bad talent, even if there is no end to it, it will be the end. Of course, in addition to this, hard work is also quite important. At the very least, in this world there is an end to the world. That is the God rank. The path to the end of the world is fraught with difficulties, but there are also those with great perseverance and tenacity. There are always a few special people in this world who have the ability to reach the end of the world and become a god. Becoming a god, that is a distant concept. However, there are people who have succeeded. This proves that it is not impossible. Because of this, humans have been constantly struggling on the path to the top, braving the wind and rain to advance, crossing one obstacle after another, all for the sake of one day standing at the peak. Now Carter is saying that it is impossible to become a god by relying on physical strength. To those who were constantly struggling on the path to godhood, this was simply too cruel. With the system there is no bottleneck. As long as one fights, one can ascend to the next realm. Wu Yan, Chuju, Kodori, Kurumi, and the others can't understand how cruel this is. However, looking at Carter and Sylph's resentful faces, they know it is painful. Who doesn't want to reach the peak? Wu Yan closed his eyes, giving Carter some time to catch his breath. When Carter's complexion recovered, he asked, "Then what do you need to become a god?" "What? Things?" Carter panted and said absent-mindedly. "It's not impossible to call it things." "What do you mean?" "What I mean is, I don't know if it counts as a thing or not," Carter said in an annoyed tone. "My ancestor left some things in the Ailu Empire's imperial family, but there are only 3 words to describe the necessities of becoming a god. The power of a god. The power of a god." Wu Yan and the others were stunned. Kite nodded. According to the records, one must first reach the end of the demigod level, which is the pinnacle of the demigod level, in other words, the peak of the demigod level. After reaching the pinnacle of the demigod realm, the human body can begin to contain the power of divinity. Through absorbing the power of divinity, along with the body's metamorphosis, the barrier of the realm will begin to melt. At that time, the pinnacle of the demigod realm can attempt to break through. Once I succeed, that is to become a god. If it fails, the divine power will dissipate completely. And without the power of God. Kite shook his head and sighed. In that case, becoming a god is a luxury. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but sigh. coterie had already sucked on the jewel. Usually she would either be bored or use the jewel to stimulate her brain. Obviously the latter was the case right now. She said, "Is it because there is no more divine power in this world because there is no more divine power?" Unexpectedly, Kite shook his head in denial. "No, I can't say that the divine power is gone." Kite returned to his seat and picked up his teacup, but he didn't drink it. He looked around at Wu Yan and the other girls and slowly began to explain. As it turns out, the divine power didn't exist in the first place. Legend has it that many years ago the first demigod in the Spalier world, Silveria, discovered a place by accident when he was still a demigod. In that place, there existed something that he had never seen before in all his years of roaming the continent. Out of curiosity he carried this thing with him and continued his journey across the continent. Until one day he reached the peak of the human realm, which was the peak of the demigod realm. Perhaps it was because of his intuition, but Silverier knew that at this point he would not be able to advance any further. This was the end of his life. In fact, the peak demigods before him were all like this. Reaching the peak demigod level was the limit. Silveria also accepted his fate. There was nothing he could do, this was the limit of what a human could reach. Even if he wanted to reach a higher level, his growth had already stopped. No matter how hard he tried, he wouldn't be able to make any progress. Without the possibility of growth, how could he reach a higher level? It was at this moment that the unknown existence on Silveria's body that he carried with him caused his own realm to begin to stir. Perhaps it was an accident or perhaps it was a gamble, but Silveria absorbed the unknown existence into his body. With that, Silveria surpassed human existence and became the first demigod in the Spalier world. Since then, the thing that could help a demigod realm expert reach the demigod realm was named divine power. For some reason, the existence of divine power started to leak out. Other demigods' realm experts came to the place where divine power was found, but they all returned empty-handed. They didn't find divine power at all. Of course, there were also lucky people who discovered divine energy. However, obtaining divine energy didn't mean that one would definitely become a god. It only meant that one had a chance to break through. Whether one could break through or not still depended on oneself. Even so, having a chance was better than never being able to break through. Therefore, once someone reached the peak of the demigod realm, they would come here in search of divine energy. After that, Ailu, Balba, and Phil, the three peak demigod realm experts, followed Silveria and came to this place. By chance they obtained the power of God. With the help of the power of God, they successfully broke through and became god realm experts, reaching the true end realm. Thus, the four most famous demigods in the Spalier world were born. The three empires of the Spalier world were also born. It didn't matter if they could break through or not. It was a fact that divine power could give humans a chance to reach the demigod realm. After all, there were already 4 living examples. Those demigods' realm experts who couldn't break through became crazier and crazier. Just like that, divine power became the most valuable treasure in the Spalier world. As the saying goes, there is no limit to a person's greed. It was the same even after becoming a demigod. One of the demigods in the Spalier world became greedy and tried to take divine power for himself. He wanted to cultivate a demigod realm expert for his own faction. The other 2 empires couldn't just let him do as he pleased. Thus, a conflict began. In order to fight for the right to own divine power, the demigods of the 3 empires fought. In the end, the only demigod without any faction, Silveria, was dragged into the conflict. The 4 demigods started a chaotic battle. What kind of concept was this? Every demigod was terrifyingly powerful. In that kind of situation, the place where divine power existed was naturally destroyed. It was also at this time that they dug out a secret. The place that lost divine power didn't lose divine power because the real source of divine power didn't come from that place. It was buried under that terrain. It was a weapon that was born from the heavens. It had super strong power. It could turn a one-on-one battle between demigods into a one-sided battle. The demigod who had it could easily defeat another demigod. It could even withstand the combined forces of the remaining 3 demigods. It could even produce divine power. After discovering this, the 4 demigods went crazy. That battle between demigods lasted for an unknown period of time. They only knew that after it ended, the 4 demigods fell. The powerful weapon also disappeared, because it had more power than the strongest legendary armament that humans could create, and it could also produce divine power. Thus, this weapon that was born from the heavens and had only one surname was called Legendary Armament. Chapter 801. Consider it a request. Please transfer the Ring of Power to me. Everyone turned their attention to Wu Yan after Carter said that. Standing in front of Kate and Sylph, Wu Yan could feel their burning gazes on him. They looked calm on the surface, but upon closer inspection, Wu Yan could see that Kate and Sylph were clenching their fists. Their foreheads were also covered in sweat. Wu Yan couldn't help but feel a bit uncomfortable under that kind of gaze. He bitterly laughed and said, "Is there a need to be like this? Even if it's an order left behind by your ancestor, it's been tens of thousands of years since he passed away, right?" Even though the Ailu imperial family's ancestor was a god-ranked expert, this fact was something the Ailu imperial family would be proud of. It wasn't impossible for them to treat his words as an imperial edict, but that was many years ago. Compared to an imperial edict, wasn't the control of an empire much more important? Wu Yan didn't think the royal family would blindly listen to the orders of a deceased ancestor. He also didn't think Carter would give up his throne just because of an order and a ring. Give it up. Carter and Sylph seemed to have understood what Wu Yan meant. They lowered their heads in silence. After a long time he said in a low voice with some helplessness, "Indeed, a deceased ancestor, no matter how great and how outstanding his achievements were at this point in time, a verbal order doesn't mean anything. However, the Ring of Authority is still necessary." Wu Yan furrowed his brows. "Is it just to get a proper verbal meaning?" "No, it's not like that." Carter shook his head and sighed. "You don't know how complicated an empire's royal family is. The Ailu Empire's royal family doesn't only consist of our branch, there are many other distant branches. They might not be as important as the direct imperial family, but they still have the blood of the imperial family flowing in their veins." Wu Yan sensed Kite's dejection at this point. He continued in a low voice with an expressionless face. "The throne of the Ailu Empire is coveted by every member of the royal family. Of course, there are many ambitious people. This time the throne is mine, but when did I get dragged down and get replaced by someone else? It's not surprising." Coterie stopped licking the jewel when she heard Kite's words. She looked at Carter and asked with uncertainty, "Is someone trying to use this order to take you down?" Carter's expression changed and he closed his eyes. "Yes. Although the ancestral edict no longer has much binding power, it is a very good excuse for those who covet the throne. If they use it well, even if they can't achieve their goal of sitting on the throne, they can at least let the next successor fill in the name of their descendant." "That's not possible," Coterie retorted bluntly. "By doing so, won't they be pushing the throne that they've been dreaming of onto the owner of the ring? That's still better than what's on my body." Kite sneered, expressing his disdain for the petty tricks of an ant. "They should know that as long as I'm on the throne, they have no chance of winning. However, if the throne is in the hands of a lucky person, their chances of winning are much higher." Wu Yan was taken aback. He shrugged helplessly. "Looks like we're being underestimated." "More or less." Kite smiled and said, "However, with that Lord Z around, they won't lay a finger on you. I'm sure of that. I wish they would come knocking on our door." Wu Yan said casually. He glanced at Carter. "We received news that the Ailu imperial family is paying close attention to us. I think it's their little trick, right?" "Yes. Part of it is mine," Carter admitted with a nod. "I don't know when the news about the Ring of Authority leaked out. Even though we couldn't confirm it because you weren't around, some things can't be hidden forever." Kate pondered for a bit before meeting Wu Yan's gaze. "I know my request may be overboard, but please understand that I have my reasons. Of course, I won't ask you to transfer the Ring of Authority without any conditions." Wu Yan isn't sure if it's just his imagination, but Carter's next words seemed to carry a strong sense of unwillingness and resentment with him. "To make it up to you, we decided to hold this ball to announce your engagement with Sylph." "Huh?" Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched. He forced a smile. "So this so-called compensation is marrying Sylph to me?" "Impossible," Kate said angrily. "The only reason I want you to marry Sylph is so that you can become a member of the imperial family." Carter's explanation didn't clear up Wu Yan's doubts. In fact, it only made him more confused. "What's going on now?" Carter lowered his head and turned around with his hands behind his back. When the ancestor passed away, he left behind some things in the Ailu Empire's treasury. Only members of the Ailu Empire's royal family are allowed to enter the treasury. Wu Yan blinked. He glanced at Sylph and the other girls. Then he asked Kate. You mean? That's right. Carter tilted his head. I can give you those things. Wu Yan clicked his tongue. Then why don't you just take them from me? Take them? How am I supposed to take them? Carter said in a bored tone. Inside are the most important things of the Ailu Empire's royal family. If you want to take anything from there, not only do you have to be a member of the Ailu Empire's royal family, you also have to get permission from the Ailu Empire's guardian deity. Otherwise, even I won't be able to take anything from there. Surprised, he didn't ask about the national treasury. But he asked. Guardian deity? Carter hesitated for a bit before continuing. It's fine to tell you. In the Ailu imperial family, the one with the highest status isn't me, it's the guardian god. It's not just the Ailu imperial family, it's the Baruba and Fea empires as well. These three empires all have a guardian god hiding behind the scenes and protecting the imperial family. Protect the safety of the royal family. Wu Yan and the other girls looked at Kite with uncertainty. Kite responded with a meaningful smile. Normally, the guardian god doesn't care about the Ailu Empire's royal family or even the empire's affairs. His only job is to cultivate and guard the treasury. Unless something big happens to the empire or the royal family, he won't appear. It's the same for the other two empires' guardian gods. It is also because of the guardian god's existence that the rules of the national treasury can be maintained. I can't take anything from there for no reason, but for the sake of the Ring of Authority, the guardian god will allow you to have those things. Of course, you have to be a member of the Ailu imperial family. Fortunately, with Sylph's status in the imperial family, her fiancé can also be considered a member of the imperial family. If it was someone else, the two of you would have to be married before you can be considered a member of the imperial family. At this moment, everyone more or less understood the ins and outs of the entire matter. Wu Yan looked at Sylph speechlessly. I didn't think you would agree to be engaged to me just to give me some things. Sylph glanced at Wu Yan and gave him a strong answer. It's just an engagement, we can cancel it at any time. Chapter 802. This was the deepest part of King City's imperial palace. Wu Yan checked out his surroundings as he walked down the path leading to the palace. There were huge magic lamps embedded in the walls. The faint glow of the magic lamps illuminated the path to the palace. However, the lighting was a bit hazy, it felt like he was in a dream. The corridor was silent, only the sound of footsteps could be heard. Wu Yan looked at his surroundings. He looked at Kite, who was leading the way, and then at Sylph, who was walking beside him. He felt a little nervous. Kite said that only members of the Ailu imperial family can enter this place. Outsiders will be treated as enemies and killed by the guardian deity. Wu Yan and Sylph's engagement is just a formality. The guardian deity should know about it, but he didn't stop Wu Yan from entering this place. Kite also said that the guardian deity agreed to transfer Ailu's relics to Wu Yan for the sake of the Ring of Authority. It's obvious that the guardian deity knows that Wu Yan is the original owner of the Ring of Authority. Yet he still agreed to the deal. That means the guardian deity doesn't want the throne to fall into Wu Yan's hands. Coterie had another guess. If Kite's words were true, the guardian deity would be willing to exchange Ailu's relics for the Ring of Authority. It's very likely that the guardian deity suggested it himself. Otherwise, why would Kite, who can't easily get anything from the treasury, decide to exchange it for the Ring of Authority? If the guardian deity is willing to exchange it for the Ring of Authority, he must know the details. Why didn't he just ask Kite to exchange it for the Ring of Authority? Why did he go through so much trouble to get Wu Yan engaged with Sylph and bring Wu Yan here? There's only one answer. The guardian deity wants to see Wu Yan. Wu Yan felt a little nervous because he didn't know what the guardian deity was planning. He also didn't know if the guardian deity would take the Ring of Authority from him. Sylph sensed Wu Yan's nervousness and she turned around as if she had an epiphany. Her icy blue eyes had an indescribable calmness that calmed Wu Yan down. He nodded at her and smiled gratefully. Sylph merely glanced at him and didn't say anything else. Damn it. She's not cute at all. After walking for about half an hour, a light appeared at the end of the tunnel. Wu Yan, Kate and Sylph exchanged a look and they hastened their pace. A few moments later Wu Yan, Kate and Sylph looked at each other and they hastened their pace. They finally reached the end of the corridor. Dazzling light sprinkled down from the sky and all around. Wu Yan, Sylph closed their eyes to adjust to the light. They slowly opened their eyes and looked at the scene in front of them. Wu Yan was shocked. In front of him, there was a steep wall that extended in all directions like a valley, covering the end of his line of sight. It formed 3 walls, and in the middle of the 3 walls, there was an extremely wide open space standing there. It gradually sank down, forming a staircase that led downwards. At the bottom of the staircase is an entrance. It's a very old entrance that looks like an underground graveyard. The scene in front of him left him dumbfounded. This place doesn't look any different from an underground graveyard. It doesn't look anything like the imperial treasury that Wu Yan had in mind. Instead, it exuded a dark and sinister aura. It gave him the feeling that if he went in he would never be able to get out. Chills ran down his spine. The ancient entrance had obviously been ravaged by the passage of time. It contained a very simple and unadorned atmosphere. The entire shape of the entrance was like a basement within a room. However, this so-called room and basement were a little too big. This is the imperial treasury? Wu Yan gulped and looked at Carter weakly. Don't tell me you're using the treasury to support the empire? Impossible. How is that possible? Carter rolled his eyes. This is the imperial treasury of the Ailu Empire. It's mainly used to store the most valuable items. Gold coins don't need to be stored in the treasury. You can just throw them into your spatial storage. Wu Yan's jaw dropped when he heard this. It seems like he's carrying the real national treasury with him. Kate pulled himself together and he led Wu Yan and Sylph forward. When they reached the staircase he took a deep breath and he bowed in a respectful manner. The current emperor of the Ailu Empire, Carter, brings my daughter Sylph and her fiancé Wu Yan here to request the right to enter the imperial treasury. Kite's words reverberated throughout the palace. His voice lingered in the air for a long time. Not long after Kite finished his words, Wu Yan's pupils shrunk as he felt a chill in his heart. He looked to the side and stopped at an empty space not far from the entrance. There's a figure sitting cross-legged on the ground. He's wearing a gray robe. The gray-robed figure looked like he's been sitting there for a long time. He didn't move at all. It's as if he's been sitting there for thousands of years. It's like a statue. There's no aura coming from him. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat when he saw the figure. Because before he came in he had already scanned the entire place once, so he clearly remembered that just a second ago, there was not a single person in that position at all. Wu Yan felt a chill in his heart. Amidst his shock, the gray-robed figure sitting at the entrance shook his robes. A pair of eyes that were as calm as an ancient well slowly opened. He raised his head and looked forward. He glanced at Wu Yan, Sylph before stopping at Wu Yan. He squinted his eyes for a moment before he stopped. A trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. He stared at Wu Yan and the more he looked at him the more surprised he became. Finally, a hoarse voice with a hint of vicissitudes of life reverberated in the air. "You're Wu Yan?" Wu Yan, Carter and Sylph were stunned by the sudden question. The other two turned to look at Wu Yan. Wu Yan reacted and he quickly calmed himself down. He put on a serious face and bowed to the other party. Wu Yan greets the old man. Old man. Carter and Sylph sucked in a cold breath when they heard Wu Yan's greeting. Old man. The ancient voice seemed to be startled for a moment. Then a soft chuckle escaped from the other party's mouth. What an old man. I've lived here for a long time and I've always heard Lord or Lord Protector. What a refreshing way to address someone. The old man disappeared without a trace. He reappeared in front of Wu Yan and the others with his hands behind his back. Carter and Sylph became even more respectful when they saw the old man. Wu Yan was shocked by the old man's mysterious appearance. This old man is definitely not ordinary. With that in mind, he activated the system's perception. His wine-red eyes flashed with undetectable data as he took in the old man's information. When the old man's information came back from the system's perception and entered his mind, he was completely flabbergasted. Chapter 803. Jarlin. Ailu level 96. Level 96. He's a demigod. The shock in his heart slowly surfaced on his face when he realized that the old man is a demigod named Garlin. Unable to control his shock in time, Garlin thought that Wu Yan was shocked by the way he moved. He couldn't help but smile. There's no need to be so surprised. It's just some mana usage. If you become a demigod in the future, you'll be able to travel 1,000 miles in an instant. Wu Yan was shocked. He only regained his senses when Jarlin's words reached his ears. He took a deep breath and shook his head with a bitter smile. I've embarrassed myself in front of you, sir. Wu Yan. Don't be rude. Kite shouted in a deep voice, his eyes hinting. Sir Jarlin is the protector of the Ailu Empire. He's much stronger than I am. Don't be so rude. Obviously, Carter said this because he was afraid that Garen would blame Wu Yan. However, Garen waved his hand and said nonchalantly, there's no need to be polite or impolite. Compared to Lord, this little guy's way of addressing me is more pleasing to me. Hearing that, Kite secretly sighed in relief. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He's always calling himself little fella, little fella. He didn't even object to these people who are older than him calling him that, but now they're blaming him. Am I really that young? Jarlin turned his attention to Wu Yan. He ignored Carter and Sylph and stared intently at Wu Yan. That calm yet scrutinizing gaze made Wu Yan feel uneasy. The two beside him didn't quite get it either. Until the next moment. Little guy. Jarlin said calmly. You're not human, are you? Wu Yan's calm voice reverberated in his ears. His heart that had just calmed down suddenly tensed up. He looked at Jaren with a look of shock. Not just him, even Carter was stunned by Jaren's words. Ever since he became a true ancestor, Wu Yan's identity had been exposed before. For example, the Beast King that appeared in the Behemoth Forest had exposed his identity. However, the Beast King wasn't a human either. It wasn't strange for it to be able to see through his identity. Moreover, he had only discovered it after a period of observation. However, this demigod named Garland who was standing in front of him had reacted the moment they met. His identity was exposed. This person was truly terrifying. Not a human. Kite's expression suddenly became uncertain. Lord Garen, what is the meaning of this? Sylph also shifted her gaze over. She had heard the same thing from the Beast King before, but the situation was too urgent at that time, so she didn't pay much attention to it. Now that he thought about it, it seemed that at that time, Wu Yan had suffered a lot of fatal injuries, but he had recovered in an instant. He was not human. Garen had no intention of answering Kate. He was still waiting for Wu Yan's reply. Wu Yan gulped and nodded. Carter and Sylph shuddered as they nodded. Garen, on the other hand, smiled. You're not a human, and you don't seem to be a demonic beast either. What is your existence? Garen asked curiously. Wu Yan furrowed his brows. He was in a difficult position. Should he tell them that he was a vampire? They probably don't even know what a vampire is. Garen smiled when he saw Wu Yan's troubled expression. You can't answer? Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief when he heard this. He told Garen. Please forgive me, old mister. I really don't know how to explain this to you. After all, the implications are quite big. The secret is yours. If you want to tell me, I'll tell you. If you don't want to, it's not my style to force you to tell me. Jarlin waved his hand in a rather heroic manner. From his movements, one could not tell that he was old at all. He glanced at Wu Yan and said with a smile. I'm sure you've already guessed that it was my idea to have Kate exchange the Ring of Authority with you, right? Wu Yan blushed with shame. He laughed dryly and scratched his cheeks. I just don't understand. If old Sir wants to exchange the Ring of Authority with me, why do you have to go through so much trouble to get Princess Sylph engaged with me? Trouble? Jaren blinked his eyes and blinked. Is it that troublesome? I think it's quite fun. Wu Yan sweated profusely. Kate and Sylph were speechless. However, they didn't seem to find it strange. Garen must have lived for too long. He's become an old urchin. Wu Yan came to this conclusion. He turned his head away helplessly. It's not like he's the one who's at a disadvantage in this engagement. All right, little guy. I called you here to ask you a question. Garen waved his hand and said with a serious expression. I heard from the little girl that you obtained this Ring of Authority in a treasure trove. Then, other than this Ring of Authority, did you find anything else? Zhang Lixing asked. Wu Yan's heart jumped, but he pretended to be puzzled. Something else? Is there something else? Garen frowned and looked at Wu Yan seriously. You really didn't find anything else? Wu Yan frowned and looked at Garen with a serious expression. Am I supposed to find something else? Following Wu Yan's words, the atmosphere turned heavy. Wu Yan and Jaren looked at each other with the same indescribable look in their eyes. It's hard to tell what's going on in their minds. Kate and Sylph's hearts were in their throats. Just as they were about to step forward and say something, Garland seemed to have given up on something and turned around in boredom. Forget it, I told you that it's not my style to pursue this matter. Who would have thought that I would? Garen sighed and laughed at himself. The longer I live, the more backward I get. A gust of wind blew past Jaren's location, engulfing his entire body within it. Not long after, Jaren's figure slowly faded away, gradually disappearing from the spot under the gazes of the three people present. The thing you want is in the deepest part of the treasury. Take it yourself. Leaving those words echoing in the air, Jaren disappeared as if he was never there. Even though he had seen this before, Wu Yan still felt his heart palpitating. Kate smiled bitterly and said to Wu Yan apologetically, "Please don't blame Master Garen. He just wants to reach the top. I think he wants to know where you found the ancestral ring of authority. He wants to know if there's any divine energy there." Wu Yan nodded and smiled. "I'm just asking a few questions. It's not like I'm blaming him or anything." "It's good that you think that way." Kate nodded with a smile. "Since Master Garen has allowed you to enter the treasury, you may enter. Remember, don't take anything other than what you need." Wu Yan nodded. He turned around and walked towards the entrance of the tower. Stepping on the stairs that are still glossy despite the ravages of time, he felt a bit slippery to the touch, but he didn't encounter any obstructions. He followed the stairs for a while before he arrived at the entrance. Lifting his head, he looked at the ancient door. A desolate aura emanated from within and wrapped around his body like the wind. Surprisingly, it didn't feel cold at all. The passage ahead was very dark. There wasn't a single ray of light, but at the same time, it didn't feel eerie either. Instead, it felt like a mysterious wine that had been brewed. Wu Yan was deeply captivated by it. Chapter 804. Wu Yan only has one feeling right now, and that is shock. Originally, he thought that after passing through the passage, what would appear in front of him would be a dazzling treasure trove of gold and jade. At the very least, there should be a mountain of gold, or maybe the walls would be made out of gold and the floor would be covered in pearls or something like that. But now he can only feel ashamed of his own thoughts. Because it is too vulgar. In this treasure trove, there is no mountain of gold, nor is it as dazzling as he imagined. It is just a large-scale warehouse. But it is this so-called large-scale warehouse that gave Wu Yan an extraordinary shock. As for why he is shocked, just look at the things here. On the left wall there is an old bookshelf. The bookshelf is filled with books, but if you think that those are just ordinary books, then you are gravely mistaken. Placed on the bookshelf, there is no one that isn't powerful Dou Qi cultivation technique, battle skill, magic, and even some unknown secret techniques with strange effects. On the right side of the wall there was another shelf. However, it wasn't a bookshelf but a few weapon racks. On the racks were all armaments. Although there were only a few dozen of them, all of them were gold rank armaments. And on the surrounding floor there are some scattered boxes everywhere. Some are covered so there is no way to see what is inside, but some are open. There are some herbs and other treasures inside, or magic beast body materials, magic crystals, magic beast eggs, they are everywhere. Magic beast body materials and treasures. With Wu Yan's knowledge in the Spalier world, he can't recognize how precious they are. Magic beast eggs are also unknown, but Wu Yan can recognize the magic crystals. The lowest level magic crystal is at the 8th level. There are also magic crystals at the 9th level. Of course, in here there are not only the things mentioned above, there are also many things that Wu Yan can't recognize. But since they are placed together with these things, then at least in terms of value, they are definitely not weak. Looking at everything around him, Wu Yan laughed bitterly. He lowered his head, clenched his fists tightly, and trembled all over. It was not because he was frightened, nor was it because he was shocked. It was because he was trying his best to hold it in. He resisted the urge to loot everything here. To put it bluntly, if everything here was exchanged for points in the system, then it would be an exaggeration to say that he wouldn't have to worry about money for the rest of his life. But at the very least, it would be more than enough to last him a few years. Only now did Wu Yan realize how poor he was, having always squandered his wealth like water. Compared to the things here, even if he exchanged all his points in the system for useful things, it would still be a drop in the ocean. Disparity, this was the disparity. Woo. Wu Yan groaned and turned his head away stiffly. He forced himself not to look at the things around him. When he realized that he couldn't help but want to touch it, he simply closed his eyes and walked inside without looking back. His heart was bleeding. If only it was all mine, how good would that be? With that thought, Wu Yan walked inside. He no longer paid attention to the treasures around him. Jaren said that Ailu's relic is in the deepest part of this place. That is also Wu Yan's goal. In the treasure trove he obtained 3 rings. One is the Ring of Authority, a symbol of authority. It is useless to him. The other 2 are the black ring that represents strength, and the gold ring that represents money. These 2 rings are different from the former. They are spatial items, so there should be something inside. But Wu Yan can't get it because one requires a key to open it. The other ring only gives him a hint, but they have one thing in common. They are both Ailu's things. If that's the case, then Ailu's relic is most likely the key to these 2 rings. It's because of this that Wu Yan agreed to trade with Kite. After all, authority is something that he can do without. The items in the remaining 2 rings are the ones that are really useful to him. So, rather than keeping a useless ring that symbolizes authority, he might as well trade it for a better shot. Even if Ailu's relic isn't the key to opening the 2 rings, a god's relic can't be useless, right? With that thought in mind, Wu Yan continued to explore deeper into the treasure trove. He stopped when he saw a wall in front of him. There aren't many treasures left in the treasure trove. What's left is precious, but Wu Yan's attention isn't on them. Instead, it's on a transparent crystal object in front of the wall. It's a crystal ball. Wu Yan's pupils constricted as he stared at the crystal ball. If he's not wrong, this should be Ailu's relic. There was no other reason. This crystal ball was almost exactly the same as the crystal ball that was placed together with the box containing the 3 rings in the treasure trove. Wu Yan walked up to the crystal ball and focused on it. He muttered to himself for a moment before placing his hand on it. Wang. The crystal ball trembled violently and a dazzling light leaked out from it. In an instant, it shone on the wall in front, forming a projection screen. A blurry figure appeared on the screen. Under Wu Yan's gaze, the figure moved slowly as if it's carrying a mountain on its back. It looked like a monk practicing martial arts. Powerful battle techniques were displayed over and over again. That was clearly teaching him the method and experience of using a powerful battle technique. Wu Yan sighed and lowered his head in disappointment. This crystal ball is indeed a relic left behind by Ailu. The battle skill displayed in the projection is simply too powerful. Only a god can display such destructive power. In other words, the battle skill shown in the projection is a battle skill once used by a god. Without a doubt, this skill is very valuable. It's not wrong to say that it's the most valuable item here, but to Wu Yan, it's of little value, a god's battle technique. Wu Yan bitterly smiled. It's enough to exchange for the Ring of Authority, but I don't have any battle chi. It's useless. Don't tell me that we've missed this time. Wu Yan gritted his teeth as he looked at the image on the screen. He suddenly thought of something and raised his hand. A crimson ripple appeared on his hand. A golden ring and a black ring flew out and landed on Wu Yan's hand. Right at this moment, a phenomenon occurred. The figure that was demonstrating his battle skill suddenly stopped and turned around to look at Wu Yan. In an instant, a terrifying pressure descended on Wu Yan, causing his blood to boil, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Wu Yan could clearly see the projection's mouth moving as if it's trying to say something. Then a bright golden light shot out from the projection's body and arrived in front of Wu Yan in an instant. It spun around and entered the golden ring. The projection screen on the wall trembled, and under Wu Yan's astonished gaze, it shattered into pieces, but it didn't dissipate. Instead, it stayed suspended in midair. At the center of it all, a small black dot spun and appeared. It brought with it a whirlwind that swept up all the fragments around it. Not long after, a black hole formed by the fragments and the black wind appeared in front of Wu Yan. The fragments started reassembling and the black wind started dissipating. Slowly, a new projection was formed. A faint shadow. Chapter 805. Looking at the shadow floating in the air, Wu Yan was stunned. It was just a shadow, but Wu Yan felt like he was facing the whole world. There was no aura coming from the shadow, but his presence could not be ignored. There was no change in the surroundings, but the atmosphere in the air fluctuated like the surface of a lake, giving people the illusion that space was about to shatter. Ordinary, calm, steady, but terrifying. What is going on? Wu Yan couldn't wrap his head around this sudden turn of events. Suddenly, a faint sigh came from the shadow's body. Fated one. Wu Yan lifted his head to look at the shadow due to his undeniable presence. Wu Yan didn't even notice the shadow's action. It's as if someone is purposely manipulating him. Since you can see me, it proves that you found the thing I left behind and came to my empire. The vicissitude, mysterious, ethereal and leisurely voice came from an unknown part of the shadow, but it seemed to be transmitted directly into Wu Yan's mind, waking him up from his stupor. Hearing this, Wu Yan roughly understood that the person in front of him was the god-level expert called Ailu. Or rather, it was a projection left behind by him. However, the shadow's words surprised Wu Yan. Possible, I really did not want you to come here. The shadow's voice was filled with indescribable sadness. However, an existence is an existence. No matter how deeply it hides, an existence that hasn't been erased will reveal a corner of its existence in this world sooner or later. Even if it deceives itself and hides, what's the use? In any case, such an existence will not be able to sleep forever. I clearly understand this, but I still did not want you to come here. In the end, I am just one of the people deceiving themselves. The shadow's face did not have a trace of emotion, but when he said those words, it was obvious that he showed a self-deprecating expression. Coupled with that strange speech, Wu Yan was confused. The owner of the voice seemed to have expected Wu Yan's reaction, and the tone suddenly changed. Fated one, I don't know how many years have passed in Silveria by the time you see this projection. I don't know what the current situation is like, but what I'm about to say next will affect the entire world. Wu Yan was shocked. Affect the entire world? Therefore your best choice is to not listen. If you're afraid, then just destroy this projection right here and now, the shadow said. If you choose to continue listening, then. The shadow did not continue speaking and his body stopped moving, leaving Wu Yan standing there with a rapidly changing expression. Affect the entire world? What the hell is going on here? Wu Yan's expression was uncertain. Of course, he did not think that the shadow was talking nonsense because there was no need for that. Furthermore, this projection was most likely left behind by Ailu himself. In that case, the so-called thing that would affect the whole world that he mentioned was definitely something incredible. Phew. Wu Yan exhaled heavily, calming himself down. He raised his head and looked at the projection. He did not destroy it as the shadow said. They stood there silently, a projection and a figure silently waiting for time to pass. About 10 minutes later, the shadow spoke again. It seems that you did not choose to run away, but it is not praiseworthy because you might regret it. Leaving behind such a vague statement, the ethereal voice began to narrate. Fated person, what you have found are 3 of my favorite rings that I left behind when I was alive. I had once placed a seal on their location, and unless a divine-level expert tried to barge in, it would be impossible for anyone to enter. Hearing this, Wu Yan held his breath. The shadow continued, I know you are conflicted because you did obtain my items, but you cannot be a god-rank powerhouse. After our fall, there should not be another god-rank powerhouse. What does that mean? Are you sure? Wu Yan tilted his head in confusion. The shadow continued. There is no other way to break the seal other than by barging in. If it is broken, it means that a great disaster will befall the Spalier world. What? Wu Yan was stunned, his heart skipping a beat. A disaster that even a god-rank powerhouse would consider a great disaster? What kind of disaster is it? Wu Yan asked subconsciously. He did not consider that the shadow in front of him was just a projection without any consciousness. It was impossible for it to answer his question, but the shadow said so. I know you are confused, but that's all I can say. The shadow's head seemed to move once or twice as if it was shaking its head. You don't need to know too much about the great disaster, it won't do you any good, but you must remember what I'm going to say next. The ethereal voice suddenly became serious and even the tone of the voice became a little heavy. Remember, if you want to stop this great disaster, the way is in that black ring, the ring of power. Black ring. Wu Yan's expression froze, and he immediately looked at the black ring in his hand. Looking at this ring, which should be a space tool, his consciousness sank into it, but it was blocked like before and he could not open it. You don't need to try to open the ring of power. As if it knew what Wu Yan was doing, the shadow said, before the great disaster happens, it's best that the things in the ring don't come out. Otherwise, it will only make the Spalier world chaotic in advance. As soon as its voice fell, the shadow raised a hand and stroked it in the air. The next moment, A map that looked like a star appeared with a rotation, and it stood beside the shadow. I've put the key to open the ring of power there. The shadow pointed at a red dot on the map. If one day a great calamity occurs, then go there and search for the key. As long as the great calamity occurs, the seal I set up there will also be removed. With the ring of power in your hand, you will obtain the qualifications to enter there. Of course, if the great disaster doesn't happen, then you don't have to go. No matter what, I'll just remember it first. Hearing the shadow's words, Wu Yan took in a deep breath of cold air. He focused his attention on the map and memorized it with perfect memory. With the ring of power, you can enter the Ailu Imperial Palace without any hindrance. I believe the current Ailu Emperor won't transfer the throne to you just because of a word from me. You also have the other two rings, the ring of power and the ring of gold. Combined with the information I left on the box, the possibility of you coming here is much higher. When you see this projection, it will prove that I'm right. Wu Yan almost fell to the ground. Everything is under the control of this guy who died who knows how many years ago. Fated one, if it's possible, please transfer the ring of power to the current Ailu Emperor. Wu Yan heard the shadow's words with a hint of a smile. Authority is the most useless thing. Only strength can truly control one's own fate. The ring of power is something dispensable. It's only there to give you the chance to come here. Of course, I won't let you work for nothing. Just transfer the ring of power to the current emperor. The ring of power is the key. Before everything happens, don't let it appear. As for the things in the ring of gold, just treat it as the reward for letting you bear so much. It should be able to satisfy you. After saying that, the shadow fluctuated again. That was because he had turned around. I've done everything I can. Fortune, misfortune, fate. His words are still lingering in the air, but the shadow is already gone. Wu Yan is the only one left standing there without uttering a single word. Chapter 806. When the shadow disappeared, the strange fluctuation in the air that seemed to break through space also disappeared at the same time. It was replaced by another invisible force that revealed a hint of surveillance. Wu Yan furrowed his brows when he felt this invisible power. Then he relaxed his brows as if nothing had happened. At first, Wu Yan was wondering why Garen would let him enter this place alone without worrying about him tampering with the things here. It seems like Garen didn't need to worry about him tampering with the things here. Garen had already tampered with the things here. As for the abnormal spatial fluctuations that the shadow emitted just now, it should be to isolate the surroundings from detection. Otherwise, with such a thing happening, Garland would have sensed it and come in. Shaking his head, Wu Yan looked at the two rings in his hand. They are the ring of power and the ring of gold that the shadow mentioned. He then touched the ring of authority on his finger and sighed in annoyance. Wu Yan had to go through too much in just one day, so much so that he felt like he couldn't handle it all. First, it was a ball that was open to the entire continent. Then he somehow became the main character of the ball. He even had a fiancée who was a beautiful iceberg beauty in name. Then he learned about the secrets of the continent from Kite. The truth of the god-level experts and the secret behind their fall, the existence of the divine power and the mythical armaments. Then he saw the highest level of power in this world, the demigod expert Garen, who was the guardian god. And then he encountered the remains and instructions of the deceased gods. It's only been a day, but Wu Yan felt more tired than the 3 years he spent in Sao. If it wasn't for the 3 rings in his hand and the map in his mind, he would have been dead already. He thought that he was dreaming. I feel like I've been played. Wu Yan pursed his lips. The ring of authority, the ring of gold, and the ring of power all have their own meanings. They were all designed by the fallen god Ailu. That included Wu Yan coming here and entering the treasury. He entered the treasury, touched the relics he left behind, and received Ailu's instructions. Throughout the entire process, he acted like a bystander. There was no room for him to intervene at all. If it were someone else, they would know that their actions were all part of someone else's plan. They would definitely be unhappy. Moving his hand from the ring of authority to the ring of gold, he could feel the change in the ring. He mumbled to himself, "I hope your compensation is satisfactory. Otherwise, I'll go to the refugee cave and adopt a strong man as a coolie. I'll give him a name, Ailu." After saying that, Wu Yan gradually sank his consciousness into the ring of gold. The obstacles in the past have disappeared without him noticing. There are no longer any obstacles to Wu Yan's consciousness. Wu Yan felt dizzy for a moment. His vision blurred and he arrived in a different world. He was like a ghost wandering in the sky. The space inside the ring of gold is huge. Even though it can't compare to the boundless space inside the Gate of Babylon, you can't see the end of it. One look and you can tell that this ring of gold is the highest level spatial item in the world of Silveria. Looking around, it's pitch black. There's nothing but some murky air flowing in the space. It's like the bottom of an abyss, there's nothing there. This is natural. Space items have gravity, items stored inside can't float. Wu Yan cast his gaze to the bottom of the space. When he saw the scene in front of him, Wu Yan's wine-red eyes fluctuated violently, then he became sluggish. Gold glitter. It's really gold glitter. There's an uncountable amount of gold glitter. Those are all gold coins. No, it's not just gold coins. Amidst the glittering gold there was an empty space in the center. Things that were completely different from gold coins were scattered all over the place. Among them there were heavenly treasures and various materials from magical beasts, just like the treasury outside. There was also a large area of magical crystals. There are low-tier magic crystals, the lowest tier 1 magic crystals. There are also high-tier magic crystals, tier 8 and tier 9 magic crystals scattered all over the place. What made Wu Yan's heart beat faster is the 5 magic crystals in the middle of the pile. They are about the size of a palm. Demigod magic crystals. There are many other things, but all of them are priceless treasures. In here there are no medicines, battle skills, magic or armaments that can enhance a person's strength. However, treasures with great value and incomparably precious covered the entire ground. The Ring of Gold. No wonder it's named after the word, gold. Heavens! Wu Yan was dumbfounded. At this time the gold coins are still shining brightly. His eyes have been dyed gold by the glittering gold coins on the ground. Although the treasures in the center of the pile are not as important as the gold coins, they are still worth more than the gold coins on the ground. The box containing the Ring of Gold once said that it contains wealth comparable to the whole world. Wu Yan didn't believe it at first, but now he has no choice but to believe it. The illusory consciousness floating in the air kept swaying. Wu Yan stretched out his hand and pinched his thigh, but there's no pain. He. Wu Yan looked like he's been played to death. It doesn't hurt. Am I really dreaming? This action, how to put it, is very stupid. How can a body of consciousness feel pain from a pinch? Wu Yan laughed like a machine for a long time. When his consciousness returned to his mind, he didn't know how much time had passed. One can imagine how much shock the endless gold coins and the treasures in the small area gave him. Without a doubt, the value of the items here is no less than the treasuries outside. Maybe even more. It's worth it. After a long time, Wu Yan spat out these 2 words. It's really worth it. Magic crystals could be exchanged for ability points. Heavenly treasures and demonic beast torso materials could be exchanged for item points. Although there were no armaments or similar equipment here, the gold coins on the ground could also be used to purchase armaments and exchange for equipment points. With the items in the Ring of Gold, Wu Yan's equipment points and ability points will increase to an unimaginable level. He's really out of poverty. It's a pity that there are no life force items or monster eggs. I can't exchange them for summoning points. Although he said it's a pity, Wu Yan's mouth has already turned into a hippopotamus shape. Everyone can see the ecstasy in his heart. The expansion of the 3 types of points had undoubtedly helped him tremendously. At this time, if he still doesn't feel satisfied, he should be struck by lightning. Moreover, items that contain life energy and demonic beast eggs that can be exchanged for summoning points can also be bought with gold coins. Although it's hard for him to come across such items, but with gold coins in hand, the world is his. His consciousness has already plunged into the pile of gold coins. Although he can't feel anything, Wu Yan still happily rolled around like a landlord, a big money grubber, and more like a nouveau riche. The idea of going to the refugee cave to adopt a fierce man as a coolie and give him the name AI Lu has now disappeared. If there's anything in Wu Yan's heart, it's that he can't wait to hug AI Lu and kiss him a few times. After showing off a lot of his principles, Wu Yan's consciousness came to the small area. Looking at the treasures, demonic beast corpses, materials and magic crystals, he didn't hesitate to keep a small portion of them for a rainy day while handing over the rest to the system. Chapter 807. Beep. The exchange value is too high. For users' convenience, the system has begun to update. Wu Yan was stunned. Before he could react, the system notification rang out in his head one after another. Beep. The system has been updated. The changes are as follows. Removing the data of the summoned characters. Only the ability, equipment and level columns are retained. The summoned characters are now independent. The ability column is now independent. The equipment column is now independent. Only the points and level columns are retained. The equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points and other exchange points have been changed. The exchange values have been changed. The system has been updated. Please check it yourself. Listening to the system beeps ringing in his mind, his jaw dropped. By the time the beeps stopped, his jaw had already turned into a no shape. His mind went blank from the bombardment of the system. He didn't know what to make of it. System. Update? Wu Yan's mouth twitched. So the system can be updated? The system has its own independent judgment program. The other programs are also provided based on the user's applicability. In order for the user to check, the system will make its own judgment and update the values. If the system causes any inconvenience to the user, the system has the final right to explain. The user may inquire at any time. Since the system has the final right to explain, what's the point of asking? Wu Yan couldn't help but complain. However, he quickly remembered the system's update. He quickly opened his system list. In front of his consciousness, the system list opened up as usual. The starting list was just like what the system had said. There were some slight changes. Originally, there were 6 boxes from top to bottom. Status, equipment, ability, item, summon, and instance dungeon. Now there were only 3 boxes left. Status, exchange, and instance dungeon. Clicking into the status column, the data that appeared in front of Wu Yan was no longer the same as before. Instead, the names of Wu Yan and a row of girls were displayed. Seeing this, Wu Yan clicked into the option for his name. Character. Wu Yan equipment points. 170 item points. 1270000 ability points. 17,000 summoning points. 2300 level. 79. F***CK. Wu Yan exclaimed and cursed. Why are my points so low? Let's not talk about the points he had obtained from the things he had just handed over to the system. The points that he already had. But it's still more than that. Could it have been swallowed by the system? Just as this thought popped up in his head, the system's voice rang out. The values held by the user have been changed, and the values on the exchange list have also been changed. Please confirm. Hearing this, Wu Yan breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it's not gone, it's fine. He looked at his personal status in front of him. Only his name, 4 types of points and level were displayed. His previous abilities, equipment and summoned character statuses were all gone. No, she couldn't say that she didn't see him. Instead, he had become independent. In the upper right corner of his character status, there were 3 additional options. Ability, equipment and summoned character. Clicking on the ability option, a list immediately appeared. Abilities. True Ancestor Bloodline, Endless Martial Training, Knight Has Never Died by Bare Hands, Electromancer, LV5. Clicking on the equipment option, the stats of his equipment appeared as well. Equipment. Gate of Wealth, B rank. The summoned character option was the same as well. Summons. Misaka Mikoto Katsura Hinajiku Ikaros Astria Flandra? Scarlet Shokuhu Misaki Itsuka Kodori Yatsuka Toka Toshizaki Kurumi Shibano Kinohuda Sayai Frenda Takitsubu Riku Yakumo Misaka Sister 20,000. The 3 options were now independent. If he wanted to check them out, he would have to select them himself. It wasn't like before where they were all stacked together in a small list. There wasn't much to it, but the summoned characters gave him a headache. As for the personal statuses of the girls, the 4 stats of strength, endurance, agility, and spirit were removed, leaving only ability, equipment, and level. It was a lot simplified, but it didn't affect them too much. After exiting the status tab, Wu Yan clicked on the exchange option. The equipment, ability, item, and summoned options appeared in front of him. It was the same as before, but they were grouped into one category, so it didn't affect him too much. Of course, that's not what he's concerned about. What he's really concerned about is how much the values on the exchange list have changed. Thus, he couldn't wait to check out the items on the exchange list. As time passed, Wu Yan slowly understood the changes in the system. Simply put, the exchange values had changed. There weren't as many zeros as before. For example, the lowest grade common armament, rank D, only required 1 equipment point. Some of the better common armament were more expensive by 1 or 2 equipment points. The cheapest rare armament, rank C, was now 100 equipment points. The value had decreased by a lot. It was the same for items, abilities and summons. Their values had decreased by quite a bit. His exchange points had shrunk and the exchange points for these items had also shrunk. As a result, the prices of some items had become more expensive or cheaper. For example, Resplendent Breath used to cost 100,000 item points. Now that it had been reduced by 10 times, it only cost 10,000 item points. However, the price had increased by quite a bit. On the other hand, the Town Return Scroll, which used to cost 10,000 item points, had become 1 item point. Although the price seemed cheaper, it was still the same as before. It was the same for abilities and summoning. Some things had become more precious while some things had also become cheaper. Compared to the past, where the value system focused on power, the current exchange system also took into account practicality and comprehensiveness. The value system had changed considerably. In short, some items had become cheaper while others had become more expensive. For example, the Resplendent Breath that had helped Wu Yan a lot. In other words, this system update had both advantages and disadvantages for Wu Yan. However, based on the current situation, the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. Looking at the drastic changes in the exchange list, Wu Yan's eyebrows twitched. His face was flushed red. Thousands of words exploded into a single sentence. System. You tricked me. Unexpectedly, the system replied calmly. User. You're slandering me. You. Wu Yan's lips trembled. In the end, his shoulders drooped dispiritedly. Even if he protested, what could he do? He also knew that the system's update this time was for his convenience and to make up for some mistakes. For example, a heaven-defying item like Resplendent Breath that could make him invincible for 3 hours would definitely cost more than the previous 100,000 item points. However, it was still disadvantageous to him, wasn't it? He could only say that the system had become more reasonable, but the victim was himself. It's not all bad. At least the return scroll only costs 1 item point. It's too cheap. Wu Yan forced a smile to comfort himself. However, when he looked at the gold coins and the remaining precious items on the ground, Wu Yan's mood improved a lot. No matter what, he had gained a lot from this trip. Looks like I should exchange for some new abilities and equipment. Wu Yan muttered to himself. He didn't know what the catastrophe that the shadow spoke of was. He also didn't know what the item in the Ring of Power that could stop everything was. But at least Wu Yan understood one thing, and that is, power comes first. No matter what happened in the future, if he didn't have strength, he wouldn't be able to guarantee the safety of the girls. Unless he brought all the girls to another dungeon world to avoid everything. But if he could, who would want to escape? Therefore he had to increase his strength. To be continued. Chapter 808. Back in the palace outside the treasury. It has been an hour since Garen left and Wu Yan entered the treasury. Carter and Sylph have been waiting at the entrance for Wu Yan to come out. As time passed, their brows furrowed. Strange. Carter muttered. Logically speaking, it shouldn't take that long. Sylph raised her head and asked coldly. Imperial Father, what is the Ancestor's Relic? You don't know. Carter paused for a moment before nodding his head in understanding. You're a magus. The Ancestor's Relic is of no use to you. It's normal that no one told you about it. Carter retracted his gaze and placed his hands behind his back. Actually, the Ancestor's Relic is a battle technique he used when he was alive. Battle technique. Sylph turned around and paused for a moment. The Ancestor's battle technique? Carter nodded. Sylph hesitated for a moment. If it's a battle technique used by the Ancestor, then it must be very precious. Do you really think it's a good idea to give it to an outsider? That's why you got engaged to him. Kate smiled helplessly. The Ring of Authority was left behind by our ancestors. As a god, even if it's just a symbol, most people won't easily let go of it. After all, it has the title of a god. In such a situation, other than the combat skill left behind by our ancestors, there's no one who can give it up easily. Is there anything else we can trade with him? Compared to controlling the entire empire. The price of a single combat skill is still worth it. Even if Wu Yan has the Ring of Authority, Carter won't give up the throne to him. Even if Carter is willing, who in the Ailu imperial family would be willing to give up their throne to an outsider? If Wu Yan doesn't want to give up the Ring of Authority, Carter can't do anything about it. Someone will use the ancestor's relic as an excuse. Carter is confident that he won't be able to get anything out of it. With his strength and status as a Tier 9 powerhouse, he won't give up the throne. However, it will be troublesome. More importantly, the next emperor might not be from his faction. That's why he has to get the Ring of Authority. Moreover, Wu Yan is no pushover. He has a demigod behind him and 2 Tier 9 powerhouses by his side. If he offended these people for the sake of the Ring of Authority, he would be in real trouble. Jiren is aware of this as well. That's why he's willing to let Wu Yan have the battle skill. Of course, what they didn't expect is that a god-tier battle skill is of little value to Wu Yan. What they didn't expect is that this time, Wu Yan didn't get a battle skill, he got a secret and a ring of gold that is as valuable as their national treasury. Shaking his head, Kate let go of the complicated thoughts in his mind. Now that Wu Yan has agreed to the deal, things are going well. Unfortunately, because of Jiren's whims, his beloved daughter got engaged to someone else. Engaged. He didn't know when regret had evolved into resentment. The thoughts in his heart had also evolved into expressions along with the resentment. As Kite muttered unwillingly, his eyes gradually became unfriendly. If Sylph finds out that the father she idolizes is actually a daughter Khan, would she still be able to maintain her cold demeanor? Maybe she already knew about it. Ta. A series of footsteps could be heard coming from the entrance of the treasury. Wu Yan finally came out of the treasury. Wu Yan raised his hand to shield his eyes. The blinding light made him feel uncomfortable. When he opened his eyes, Carter and Sylph were already in front of him. What do you think? Carter said with a smile. It's okay. Wu Yan mumbled with a stiff face. Seeing this, Carter is a bit confused, but he didn't ask any questions. It's his fortune to be able to learn it. If he can't, it's his fate. That's what Carter thought. If that's the case. Carter smirked. You should be satisfied with this deal, right? Yes. Yes. Wu Yan said in an annoyed tone. Very much so. His tone is full of annoyance, but what he meant is that he's very satisfied with the items inside the ring of gold. The only thing he's not happy about is the sudden interference of a certain damned system. Taking the ring of authority off his finger, Wu Yan raised his hand and made a throwing gesture. Shocked, Kate stepped forward and snatched the pure white ring from Wu Yan's hand. He glared at Wu Yan with eyes full of anger. No matter what, this is an item left behind by his ancestor. It's a very important item. Throwing it away like that would make Kate's heart ache. Wu Yan grinned sheepishly. Then he recalled something and looked at Kate. By the way, Your Majesty, do you know where I can get a large number of armaments? Carter was stunned for a moment and asked in surprise, Armament? A large number? Why do you need so many armaments? Well. Wu Yan scratched his head. You guys know that I have a special armament that can increase the power of normal armaments. However, it requires a lot of armaments to make up for its damage. Otherwise, it won't be able to increase its power. Carter nodded. He pondered for a moment and said, if you just need a large number of armaments and don't ask for a specific grade, it's not that hard to solve. It doesn't need to be too high grade, Wu Yan quickly said. Rare armaments are enough, common armaments are fine too. He's going to exchange them for equipment points anyway. If that's the case, then it's much easier. Carter smiled and put the ring of authority on his finger. You've done me a great favor. I can help you with this for the sake of the ring of authority. Of course, it won't be for free. Don't worry. Wu Yan patted his chest generously. Money is not a problem. As long as it's reasonable. All right then. Carter replied. His eyes flashed and he had a serious expression. He coughed dryly and he continued in a nonchalant manner. Since we're done here, it's about time to cancel your engagement with Sylph. Wu Yan and Sylph froze for a moment. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're right. Carter smiled happily. However, Sylph said with an expressionless face, there's no need to cancel the engagement for now. Wu Yan was shocked. No. Carter roared. Since the matter is settled, why not cancel the engagement? Looking at her father's furious expression, Sylph couldn't maintain her cold expression and smiled bitterly. She turned to Wu Yan and spoke as if she was talking about the food she ate today. I said I wanted to spend some time with you. But. Wu Yan gulped and said weakly, but, isn't that just a temporary measure? Sylph lifted her head and she glared at Wu Yan with her icy blue eyes. I'm serious. Wu Yan almost choked on his own saliva. As for Carter, he was stunned. Serious? Wu Yan forced a smile and pointed at his own nose. Do you really want to marry me? Sylph glanced at Wu Yan. If it's suitable, I don't mind waiting on you with others. Wu Yan didn't know what to say. Carter reacted and looked at Sylph with a tearful expression. Daughter, why don't you reconsider? Sylph didn't say anything, she just shook her head. Kate laughed but soon began to cry again. Chapter 809. Spalier World Academy Villa District. Well, that's how it is. Wu Yan told Hinajiku, Kotori and Kurumi what he saw in the treasury. The three girls fell silent, they are still digesting what Wu Yan told them. Although it's best to keep what he encountered in the National Treasury to himself. Otherwise it would only cause more trouble. However, he has absolute trust in the girls around him. If he tells them, they can help him come up with a plan. Besides, Hinajiku and the other two are girls who can see the big picture, they wouldn't just blabber about such an important matter. Of course, Estrella and the other girls might not be the same. It's not that Wu Yan doesn't trust Estrella and the girls. It's just that with their personalities, even if it's something important, it's very likely that they'll use it as a joke after dinner. If that happens, it'll cause a huge commotion and it'll be very troublesome. Wu Yan glanced at Estrella and Toka, who are eating not far away. Flandre-chan and Yoshino, who are enjoying the show. He sighed and felt a little pressured. If what Ailu said was true, would the girls still be as happy as they are now when the great calamity arrives? Will he be able to protect the girls' daily lives and smiles? Even Wu Yan is confused. At this time he couldn't help but feel a little lost. However, he could only cower in his heart for a moment. He couldn't do it for any longer. Because if even he didn't have confidence, then the girls by his side would also feel the same way. However, Chuju, Kotori and Kurumi heard Wu Yan's sigh. They looked at each other and sighed as well. I didn't think so much would happen in just one day. So many things happened in just one day. Chuju pursed her lips and looked at Wu Yan. The last time you came back from a dungeon world, the Beast King was born. This time you came back with such a huge scandal. You have a constitution that attracts a lot of attention. It's really not flattering. Ahaha. Wu Yan laughed awkwardly. His lips twitched. Don't talk like I'm an elementary school student. Although, I'm starting to wonder if I have such a constitution. Era. Kwang-san smiled. I don't think it's a bad idea, I won't be bored anymore. Wu Yan couldn't stay calm anymore and Hinajiku started complaining. Do you think I'm just passing time? This is a major matter that even a god-level expert would treat so seriously. Ma. Kurumi covered her mouth. What's wrong with that? You. All right. Kotori waved her hand. There's no point thinking too much about it. The great calamity might not happen, right? Otherwise, AI Lu wouldn't have sealed the so-called solution. Instead, he would have left it to his descendants. It's too early to talk about this, we'll talk about it later. Hinajiku and Kurumi nodded nonchalantly. Wu Yan couldn't help but feel helpless. If anyone in Silveria were to find out about this, they wouldn't be as relaxed as the girls here. It was more important for them to come up with countermeasures beforehand. Of course, there was bound to be panic, there were pros and cons, so it wasn't easy to comment on them. In the end, the Spalier world isn't their world. Their sense of belonging isn't as heavy as the people of this world, so it's not hard to imagine how much they would take this matter to heart. If it wasn't for the fact that he's worried about the safety of the girls, Wu Yan probably wouldn't have paid much attention to this matter. But Kotori was right, this matter hasn't happened yet. There's no need for them to talk about it here, they're only making him more annoyed. It's best to just let it go. While Wu Yan was thinking, Kurumi suddenly smiled strangely. She narrowed her eyes and said to Wu Yan, by the way, Aotsusama, you seem to have a very close relationship with that princess, how enviable. The air froze. Wu Yan froze on the spot, he froze on the spot. Chuju and Kotori looked at him with hostility. They didn't say anything, but their attitude made Wu Yan feel like he's sitting on pins and needles. He could only fake a smile. Hinajuku and Kotori didn't feel any better when they saw the forced smile on Wu Yan's face. The atmosphere didn't ease up either. The two girls looked at Wu Yan with a "give me a reasonable explanation" look. Wu Yan felt like crying inside. Hinajuku is one thing, she's a jealous person. He didn't think Kotori would act like this as well. Where did the cute little sister who helped her brother chase after the elven girl go? Master. At this time Ikaros's eyes flashed with a glint of data. You could faintly see a sci-fi-like frame moving back and forth in her eyes. Someone is approaching. Just as Ikaros finished her sentence, someone knocked on the door of the villa. In an instant the noise in the villa slowly subsided. Wu Yan nodded. Ikaros, open the door. Yes, master. Leaving Wu Yan's side, Ikaros walked to the door and opened it. Everyone's gazes turned towards her. Excuse me, is Wu Yan-sama in? There were 3 men in armor standing at the entrance. 2 of them looked like guards standing behind them. The one in the lead looked more like a knight than a guard. He was also the one who had spoken. When he saw that the person who opened the door was an extremely beautiful young lady, a flash of surprise flashed across the knight's eyes. His expression also became sluggish for a moment, but he quickly reacted and hurriedly lowered his head. This one is a member of the imperial family. His Majesty ordered this one to deliver something to Wu Yan-sama. Deliver something? The girls flinched. Wu Yan's eyes lit up. He stood up and walked to the door. I am Wu Yan. My lord. The knight bowed respectfully and handed a ring to Wu Yan. This is what His Majesty ordered me to deliver to you. Wu Yan eagerly took the ring and sank his consciousness into it. A moment later, a space with a large number of weapons was imprinted in Wu Yan's mind. These are the armaments that Carter promised to help Wu Yan find. Wu Yan's eyes flashed with joy. He smiled at the knight and said, "Thank you for your hard work. This is what I should do." The knight bowed deeply. Then this one will take his leave. The knight stole a glance at Ikaros. He heard that Princess Sylph's fiancé has many beauties around him. He didn't want to believe it at first, but now he has no choice but to believe it. The knight looked at Wu Yan with an envious gaze. He saluted Wu Yan again before leaving with his 2 guards. Flandre-chan poked her head out from Wu Yan's side. Is it something fun? Big bro. Wu Yan laughed when he heard this. It's not something fun, it's something useful. Wu Yan turned around and ran up the stairs. He shouted at the girls. I'm going up first. Don't wait for me to eat. Wait. Hinajuku subconsciously urged him to stay, but before she could say anything, Wu Yan disappeared in a flurry of footsteps. Seriously? Hinajuku grumbled. We're not done yet. Kotori looked at the stairs and shook her head. Maybe even he's getting anxious. Chuju fell silent for a moment before she helplessly leaned back in her chair. I wonder how Makoto and the others are doing. Are they doing well in the behemoth forest? If Shokuhu Misaki is here, she should be able to give us some good ideas. Ah. Allah. Kwang-san also revealed a devilish smile. I miss her too. Chuju felt even more helpless. Well. Kotori looked at the direction Wu Yan disappeared. I hope it won't be too troublesome. Chapter 8:10. With a bang, Wu Yan closed the door and ran to his bed. He kicked off his shoes and jumped onto the bed. He picked up the armaments that Carter sent over and began to inspect them. The amount of armaments in the space ring was very impressive, but the quality was a bit lacking. Almost 80% of them were common armaments and the rest were rare armaments. Even though he already knew this, Wu Yan still felt a bit helpless. Well, it didn't cost much anyway. A certain person who recently became rich said. Even though Carter sent over a lot of armaments, the cost wasn't even 1/10, 0.000 of the gold coins in the ring of gold. If it wasn't for the fact that 20% of them were rare armaments, it probably wouldn't even be 1/10, 0.000 of the gold coins. From this, it could be seen how much gold coins there were in the ring of gold. With a flip of his hand, Wu Yan handed over all the armaments in the space ring, including the ring itself, to the system. Ding. Obtained 12,000 equipment points. 12,000 equipment points? Wu Yan scratched his head. The system update made him unable to react to the amount of equipment points he received. According to the current exchange value, The cheapest D-grade common armament was 1 equipment point. The cheapest C-grade rare armament was 100 equipment points and the cheapest B-grade gold armament was 1,000 equipment points. In other words, 12,000 equipment points could be exchanged for 12 of the cheapest gold armaments. Of course the cheapest. It should be a lot, right? Wu Yan sighed. Even though the system update made it easier for him to check, Wu Yan still couldn't get used to it. After all, his thought process was still stuck at the time when a rare armament cost more than 100,000 equipment points. Character: Wu Yan equipment points: 12170 item points, 1270000 ability points, 17,000 summoning points, 2300 level, 79. After checking his current points, other than summoning points which were still the same as before, the other 3 points had increased by quite a bit. Compared to the previous value, it had increased a lot. It was enough for Wu Yan to squander. At that moment, Wu Yan first clicked on the ability option in the exchange. Then he hesitated for a moment when he saw the skills, talent, and lineage options that appeared. He clicked on the skills category. The advantage of a skill type ability was that it could be learned. It's your own. It would completely imprint the method of usage into the user's mind, becoming the user's memory. With this memory, even if Wu Yan did not have the system, he would still be able to use it. If he were to return to his previous life as an otaku, he would still be able to use this ability. Therefore, when choosing an ability, Wu Yan would first look for the skills category, then the talent category. As for the lineage category, for him who already had the true ancestor's bloodline, it became the ability option with the lowest requirement. After the system update, the values of the skill type abilities had changed a lot. For example, the complete memory ability that used to require 10,000 ability points now only required 100 ability points. As for the infinite armory, that used to require 150,000 ability points, it had depreciated to 1,500 ability points. The various values had decreased by about 100 times. In other words, the total of 17,000 ability points on Wu Yan was roughly equivalent to 1.7 million ability points from before. Realizing this, Wu Yan's spirit was also lifted. This level of ability points was enough for him to squander. One must know that his true ancestor's bloodline, without the discount of lineage immunity, would require a full 500,000 ability points, which was the current 5,000 ability points. With 17,000 ability points, he could be considered to be quite wealthy. And this was the case when the 5 demigod magic crystals had not been exchanged for ability points. Licking the corner of his mouth, Wu Yan thought of the 5 demigod magic crystals in the ring of gold. His heart was slightly heated. Then he calmed his mind and began to look for an ability that would be useful to him. Wu Yan's current abilities were very complicated. There was the Electromancer, LV5, Superpower, Infinite Armory, True Ancestor's Bloodline, and the Knight Never Died by Bare Hands as backup. Superpowers relied on computing power, Infinite Armory was a skill, and True Ancestor's Bloodline and Knight Never Died by Bare Hands had endless uses. Speaking of which, he still lacked a system ability such as combat chi and magic power. Wu Yan also felt that it was time for him to exchange for an ability of the energy system. There were many benefits to having an energy system. For example, the chakra in Naruto could be used to climb trees and walk on water. The chi in the Dragon Ball could be used to strengthen the body and increase attack power. The internal force of the ancient martial arts system could also be used to directly damage the internal organs of the human body. The combat chi and magic power in the Spalier world could also be used to increase various abilities. Moreover, many abilities required the support of energy to be used. For example, combat skills could not be used without combat chi. The same was true for magic, which required magic power to be used. In addition, it could increase one's strength. It was time to exchange for an energy system. Wu Yan's first choice was magic power, because magic power directly corresponded to magic and magic. There were many kinds of magic and magic in the system. There were elemental magic such as fire, water, wind, thunder, earth, and so on. There were also healing magic, destruction magic, and even high mysterious magic such as inherent enchantments, as well as magic related to space and time. It could be said that magic and magic almost involved all aspects of the field. As long as one understood the knowledge in this field, then in the face of battles and events, it could play a great role. In addition, in Wu Yan's memory, almost every instance where a creature like the true ancestor of vampires existed, as long as it had an energy system, then it was all magic power and it was very powerful. He believed that magic power should be the most suitable energy system for the true ancestor of vampires. Of course, Wu Yan also asked the system for its opinion, and the system also gave a clear answer. The compatibility between the true ancestor and magic power was the most suitable. Every true ancestor who cultivated magic power could be regarded as a large magic power furnace. A true ancestor not only cultivated magic power with half the effort, but the effect was also surprisingly good, much more powerful than other life units. So Wu Yan looked at the list of abilities in the skills category, and then directly pulled to the option related to magic power. Magic power cultivation method. Basic. A set of basic magic power cultivation method. After cultivation can obtain magic power, the growth of magic power is relatively slow. 1 ability point. Magic power cultivation method. Intermediate. A set of intermediate magic power cultivation method. After cultivation can obtain magic power, the growth of magic power is relatively slow. 10 ability points. Magic power cultivation method. Advanced. A set of advanced magic power cultivation method. After cultivation can obtain magic power, the growth of magic power is relatively fast. 100 ability points. Magic power cultivation method. Ultimate. A set of magic power cultivation method of the highest level. After cultivation can obtain magic power, the growth of magic power is extremely fast. 1000 ability points. Seeing these 4 options, Wu Yan directly clicked on magic power cultivation method, ultimate. Without thinking. Ding. Obtained, magic power cultivation method, ultimate. When the system notification sounded, Wu Yan's consciousness began to pull away. While in a daze, Wu Yan felt a memory fragment that he had never had before forcibly stuffed into his mind, and was memorized by him. Having already experienced it several times, Wu Yan naturally understood that this memory fragment was the method to use the magic power cultivation method, and immediately began to memorize it. Not long after, a set of very complicated and very mysterious cultivation method was branded into the depths of Wu Yan's mind, and was obtained by Wu Yan. His consciousness swept over this set of magic power cultivation method. Wu Yan held his breath and gently closed his eyes, according to the cultivation method in his memory, began to extract magic power. Similarly, not long after, a faint and somewhat mysterious fluctuation appeared on Wu Yan's body, visible to the naked eye. A surge of air reverberated on the surface of his body, and with a rapid trend, it gradually grew and did not stop for a long time.